Hello, hello, hello. ये मोड क्लाउड के पास दिया था ना मैंने। किसके पास प्रॉम्प्ट दिया था मैं? Theorem and equal message queue and reliability. Okay, first cap theorem and message queue. Yeah, cap theorem and message queue first. Hello, Bodrakes. Welcome, bye. Yes, work, yeah. क्या है ये भाई साहब? Partition, okay, partition tolerance. All nodes see the same data at exact same time Every read request gets the most recent write or an error. Wow. So data is consistent, right? Like what is the use of cap theorem then? Like the meaning of cap theorem is consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. But what is the use of the cap theorem? The cap theorem states the distributed data store can provide at most two of this, two of these three guarantees simultaneously. What is two of this here? Oh, mostly we get two of them, and like state that state that distributed data stores can provide at most two of these three guarantees simultaneously. So out of three, it can at most provide two of them, like mostly at this. Why do we need this? Core trade-off is like CP systems prioritize the consistency and partition tolerance. They sacrifice the availability during the network issue to prevent returning old data. AP system prioritize availability and partition tolerance. They respond to the request even if the data is out of sync or old. If you want, I can share you the real world database examples like MongoDB, Cassandra. Why we need Campero because network failures are inevitable and the distributed systems forces the engineer to make the conscious, realistic choice of application behaves when those failures happens. So the engineers to make conscious, realistic choice about this application behaves when this failure happens. Yeah, theorem is used when there is a failure in the system. So the engineers can make the realistic choice. So it helps the engineers to make the good choice while there is some kind of failures in the system, I guess. So CAP theorem stands for the, what was the C? No, consistent availability and prioritize the tolerance, I guess. Partition. Partition tolerance essential for the system design and architecture. Network partitions are not optional. In a single machine database, you can have 100% of consistency and 100% of availability. But once you scale the multiple server distributed systems, network cables can cut, but router can fail, data packets will be dropped. Because partition tolerance is physical reality you can't avoid. Cap theorem redefines your choices during the network split. You don't choose between CAP. You don't choose CAP. You must choose between consistency, cancel operations, availability, allow all operations, and system. Prevent the perfect system illusion. Just read some. So this is related to the database, yes. DB series core concept, the trade-off of defined as this database series cap here. Okay. Is this? So when you choose consistency, then data will be properly and will be proper. When you choose availability, then when there is some sort of load, then I think that system will be available. So what is partition tolerance? System continues to operate despite. Okay, even after distributed systems, the partitions, like after partitioning the system, even though after doing that, it will work normally. For that, we use the partition tolerance. Availability is like whenever there is a network, what do you call it? Network shortage. Yeah, at that time this should be proper. Like consistency is like all data should be consistent. Like whenever some read and write operation is happening, then it should be consistent everywhere, whatever happens. Eric Brewer, the professor of UC Berkeley, yeah, Berkeley was building a large-scale distributed systems in Tommy. In Tommy, you notice a pattern. Every system seems to make a fundamental trade-off between three. So either one of them we can choose out. Can we only pick one? You must pick two out of three. Okay. So we can only pick two out of three of the. Why you can't pick three? The math and physics of the network make picking all three impossible. Imagine you have two database servers and a server A, server B splits across different locations. A network failure happens and then they can no longer talk with each other. This is partition tolerance P. And user updates their phone number on server A. Another user immediately tries to read the phone number from server B. Since the network is broken, server B has two choices. Be consistent, be available. What if it is distributed and the data should be consistent and should be available, right? Like the system, then you're saying like nobody, I mean, like it's not even possible to pick all three from the camp. Then how are the big systems are designed? Why can't I pick one? You can't choose one guarantees that because partition tolerance is given requirement, not an option. For a system using more than one computer, if you try to pick only one, the system becomes useless. Choosing C, system can consistent but no availability, never answers, no partition tolerance, break completely on the network. Choosing A, system can answer requests but returns completely random, corrupted, non-existent data. Okay, so what do we need? Like either we can CA, CP, or AP. Consistent and absolute correctness and will shut down. What about the availability then? If the system is not even available, then how would the people use it? Then? And what about the consistent data? If the data is not consistent, then what is the use of it being available? If you're interested, we can look at the place LC theorem, which explains what happens to this PA systems when the network is running. Yo, Giri bro, what's up? Theorem. I'm doing well, man. How are you, man? Mm, I feel like grind is going off, I guess. I don't have any motivation to go now. Since I'm trying to apply for jobs, I'm not getting anything. Like I'm feeling like I should quit this shit. Oh, you are also learning system design, nice man. Asset principles, like atomicity. If you see, I can't even remember. B for yeah, I don't even remember the shit, bro. I have studied this in the college. It's been more than 3 months, man. Like I don't even have any hope now. Maybe I should. Maybe I should try asking for people like if there is any job. I should go and beg everyone else. What do you call that thing? Referral, I guess. Referral, right? Yeah, referral. Maybe I need to go and connect with people, I guess. The fuck? It was not my birthday. It was not my birthday, man. It was someone's special's birthday. And I don't know, man, how long I can keep doing this thing. Like, I don't feel like even my parents started thinking like I'm just fucking useless. What the fuck I'm doing in my life right now? Should I just quit and do something else? Nah, I told like um, the birthday was not mine. It was someone special's birthday. I have been doing this for thing for 4 to 5 years with the job, and 2 year without it initially you can do. Damn, bro, 2 years, man. Salute to you, bro. Like, how do we have a salute here? This looks like a salute. Crazy, man. You have been doing for 2 years, bro. Damn, you are fucking good, man. You are the original, bro. Doing for 2 years is not a joke, man. Like nobody can. Like, yeah, some people can do, but I think most probably people drop off after a few months. I guess, like not even few months, within 30 days. Few people drop off after 2 months or 3 months, like me, and few people stay uh, till 2 years, like you. So let me revise the acid principles. Should I really dig deeper, or like should I go with the interview questions alone and just crack the shit, bro? What the fuck? You are not the dumbest, man. I'm the dumbest. Nobody can take the title from me. I'm the dumbest right now. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know, like, if I'm just going too much in depth, and imagine if they're going to ask me something simpler from the above one, and if I couldn't answer that, I, I would not able to, how do you say that? Like, I would not able to accept that thing, man. After doing so much things, like, they are going with some different question, then, like, I will be fucked up. Damn. Your learning system isn't for 3 years. Wow. Crazy, man. Crazy. Where is the cup thing? Do we have the trophy? Give you this, bro. 3 years, bro. Crazy, bro. Am I clearly audible today? I'm just sitting near my laptop right now. Yo, I have downloaded the After Effects. For interviews, do only interview questions. Maybe I should focus on interview questions. Yeah, but but I'm not fresher. Like I have an year of experience. Will they ask me so much in depth about the system design or something like that? I feel like system design starts after 2 years, right? I don't know. Maybe some companies might be asking. Am I clearly audible? Like even I'm trying to do this thing here. I was trying to learn the video editing, so I have did something like I don't know.
तो आज का एनीमे कोई भी एक्शन या कॉमेडी या फिर थ्रिलर वाला नहीं है, ये एक मोटिवेशन टाइप का एनिमेशन है जो कि इंडियन कैरेक्टर के ऊपर बना है शायद। एंड ये एनीमे का नाम है बुद्धा 2। एंड इसको देखना आप मज़ा आएगा कसम से। एंड ये लाइक फुल मोटिवेशन है भाई अंदर में पूरा, जैसे ज़िंदगी कैसे जीनी होती है, क्या क्या होते हैं चीज़ें, क्या करनी होती है, सब कुछ बताया है इसमें। अच्छा।
Just trying to learn something. The first video was crazy.
अगर आप लोग को भी एनीमे देखना पसंद है तो फिर ये एनीमे ट्राई कर सकते हैं जिसका
I don't have any idea about the audio and other editing, man. Like still, like no, I did the halfway, but after that I felt like they are going to waste the time. Few people had posted on the LinkedIn saying that that company is not the genuine one. This one, not Suzume. This is Shin Kakashi or something. I don't know, some different name. This one is from Chainsaw. To improve my speech and just I was trying some experiments. I just started learning some of the basics, I guess. Like the backup, like the backup plan. He's telling me to read about the that cons hoisting. What is TZ? What the fuck is TZ? T TZ? What is TZ? Temporal dead zone. What? This, this, yep. Yeah, I have been downloading a lot of heavy software right now. Today I downloaded the After Effect, I guess. I've downloaded the After Effect. We'll try to do the movie kind of edit. Like we have some AMV edits, right? Basics is enough, and because more people don't touch the system design until they have like 3 years of experience. Yeah, we'll try to do motion designing and what other thing. I don't know the name. Yeah, we'll try to do some Twixter style editing and some movie style editing. We can literally grab a lot of subscriber on that type of edits, man. Like most of the people watch those things. If you're going to create something different, like something famous among the people, then I think they might be watching that thing, right? In order to increase my DSA, yeah, I'm doing. I've been revising the DSA recently while I'm doing this thing. Often I do revision. Maybe I think I just do these things whenever somebody releases a new way. I will edit the clip. Yeah, bro. Summer Rena's clip will go super viral, man, fast. Like more people have leaked his old podcast, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know complete DSA. Like I haven't touched the Q double Q. A lot of topics, right? Damn, bro. I never know this shit, bro. I watched on the YouTube, but I didn't know like they did it on the PH. If they're doing it on the PH, then they might be making a lot of money, I guess. They'll be making a lot of money, right? Temporal dead zone specific period or area within the block scope where variable exists but can't be accessed. Variable exists but can't be accessed. How? Oh, okay. If it is in a different bracket, then I think it can't be accessed. Nothing much, bro. Just preparing for the interviews. relating to the time, not a placement in the code, and TTZ entirely on the order of execution time rather than the order in which the lines are written in space. In space. The code is perfectly valid because the function is called after the variable exists exists exceed okay, exceeds its temporal dead zone. This time I have planned like clearly planned everything. Once I will land job, then I will start grinding like even more harder. Since I will get 4 hours of traveling time in the train, which is like 2 hours to go to the office and 2 hours to come to my home again back there. So I think I will get 4 hours solid while traveling. If I'm downloading something in the YouTube in the offline mode or something like that, or like if I'm downloading any book, then I think I can grind in the train itself. So temporal lead zone is supposed to be this. What is OA? What does OA mean? Closer. Closer is supposed to be like accessing the parent element from the child component or something like that, right? No. Accessing something uh, from the pre-executed function, I guess. No, I'm not. I'm not. I have not completed anything. I'm just revising the concepts. I initially used to solve one DSA question during the lunch break. Damn, crazy man. Solving one question within a lunch break is not an easy task. They are going to only give me 30 minutes for that lunch period. Yes, I am going to take the whole period. Closer, as far I remember, like accessing the element from the pre. How do we form the sentence for this? No, I was just telling about the past thing. Since my home is far from the city, I think I have a lot of time while traveling. That's what I was trying to say. I only used to solve easy or medium. Even that thing I couldn't solve, man. I used to sit like, what the fuck? I'm not even able to solve a single question. Now, at least I know some patterns, I guess. Like, I can solve some of them, but not all of them. But yeah, I know a few of the patterns. If I'm uh, if I'm constantly revising the concepts, then I think I can keep the pattern in my mind, I guess, like how to do them. So let's see what is closer. The theory definition, but that won't work in the interview, right? If they are going to ask me, in case. In general, closure is like accessing, yeah, a feature where inner function always retains the access to the variables out of scope. This is what I think. Access the value of something from the pre-executed or like external, yeah, finished executing. I told it as a pre-executed. Anyway, both are same, I guess. Like feature where an inner function always retains the access to the variables and scope of outer function. You're doing better. You get better by doing it. Once you give up doing, you start from scratch. DSI is the worst. I don't like solving. Shit, bro. Starting from scratch will be fucking crazy. This is the example of closure. Create greeter, and greeting is past here, and we are going to return a name. Yeah, inner function, and you are trying to you're trying to create the reference here, and you're storing the whatever is going to come. Like whatever the output is going to come, they are going to store that thing in the signal. And even we are calling this shit. The fuck is this? Now create greeting. You're passing a greeting. So we have a name. How are you passing the name? Oh, callback function. Since you might be spamming something ill, so I think YouTube will ban it. I can't do anything. If I went to text something good, then I think it will not remove. But if you type something bad, then it will. Yeah, I have to change my title to something different. Since I'm not doing that thing, people will ask me like, "What the fuck are you?" Yo, what's up, man? After a long time, huh? How are you doing? How is your grind going on? I don't know, man. What the fuck is it? Event loop, event loop mechanism, which keeps eye on the browser in order to check for tasks which is pending and to be to be executed on the call stack. Event loop is a mechanism. Yo, I don't even remember the definitions for this, but I know the concepts. Event loop is a mechanism that keeps a track of tasks that need to be executed in the call stack, I guess. Like we have callback queue and uh, micro task or something. Game 2 days ago? No, man, I didn't see. I remember things I didn't see. If I had seen you, I would have remembered it. Maybe I forgot. I just said, sorry. Oh, we have a micro and macro. I think this is called as callback queue as style or code for JavaScript. Yeah, we can revise from there. No, I haven't seen. Can't see on the live stream, I guess. I don't know the fucking copyrights. Yeah, where is JavaScript? Let's revise JavaScript. So let's not go with the different topics, like the normal one which we have like data types and everything. And let's move back to the async topic, I guess. All these are like normal. This refers to the current object of the sites. Current object. Another function that is passed as parameter, I guess. Callback function is callback function is a function that is passed as parameter. Higher order function is a function which is called inside another function, I guess. Yeah, that should be the definition. Yeah, man. A function that takes one or more. Oh, okay. A function that takes one or more. A function that takes an. Okay. If you're passing a function as an argument, then it is called as higher order function. Then parameter is supposed to be the callback. No, we both are same. This is this is parameter and that is argument. Oh, where the fuck is that? A function that takes either one or more arguments. A function that is passed as an argument is called as a, a function that is passed as an argument to another function, which both the same, right? Like even if you're going to pass as an argument or like if you're having it as an argument, either takes one or more function as argument. This is going to take function as argument. This is like you pass as an argument to another function. Oh, what the fuck? What the same is? Yo, what's up? What's up, man? So what is the difference in like oh, a function that receives a callback is called a higher order function. I mean, like a function that receives a function as an argument is called a higher order function. And the callback function is like a function that is passed as an argument to another function. Hey, bro, why this is so confusing? Term manipulation, yeah. Promises. Um, Promise is an object that contains eventual completion. Like, what is the definition, man? Um, even promise represents promise represents an object that contains either eventual completion or failure of an operation. A JavaScript object representing eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation. I told operation, normal operation. So I said asynchronous operation. It is that was right. Finally, we remember something. We even use them, but when it comes to the definition, then we don't even remember the definitions for them. Class should be a template to create blueprint of the blueprint of something, I guess, like an constructor initializing the class functions and variables, I guess. Default constructor, parameterized constructor. I think those exist only in the Java. What the fuck? Why am I mixing the Java with JavaScript? My chats was filtered. What is happening? Promise is a word that you give to someone and you stand on it. Nah, this is like JavaScript promise. Crazy, bro. Yeah, I read your chat on the phone. Bind in the JavaScript. No fucking idea. Getter and setter is supposed to be like it's same as the Java, I guess. By getting the value and setting the value. Lexical scoping. A block of code. What is like lexical scoping is supposed to be a block of code, I guess. Like we have the curly braces, right? There is supposed to be a lexical scope, I guess. It can be either public, protected, and private, I guess. Like, I don't remember the definition, but I think that should be the answer. A block of, yeah, accessibility of variable determined in the position of physical position within, yeah, same thing. A block of code where it's located, I guess. Lexical scope. A scope is supposed to be a position where the code is being existing. JavaScript ends with a story. Okay. What else we have? We have this keyword and arrow functions. What is the difference between arrow function and arrow function is supposed to be like difference between arrow function and regular function. What is in arrow functions you can't return something, but in regular function you can return the a value, yes. what difference we have in the arrow function versus regular function? Mm, Yeah, arrow functions can be nameless functions, I guess, like, but regular function needs a name. And what else we have? What else we have? So we have to frame the answer, right, like this. The main difference between the arrow function and regular function is like the regular function needs to return something. Uh, I mean, like regular functions can return something, but arrow functions can't return something. And arrow functions can be a nameless function, but a regular function can't be a nameless function. Let us see what are the differences. Like we have versus supposed to be giving me the answer as well. Versus is an okay, okay, this pivot behavior. This points to the object and global window, even target or instance object. Arrow function lexical does not have this inherit directly from the parent code and was defined. Right? Can't I write that thing like regular function can be used in constructor to instantiate object via new. Arrow functions can be used as constructor lacks construct and type errors. So regular functions has a built-in or local arguments containing all the value passed to the function. Arrow function, if you need to pass argument, you must use modern REST parameters instead. Arrow functions, this thing, and supports concise implicit return for a string. You can even return something in no, so this is not a right. That's a very common misconception, but it's not correct. In reality, arrow functions absolutely no, can be nameless. Yeah. Arrow functions can return values even easier than the so it's a difference. Then it can take the argument. Uh, requires explicit curly braces in the uh, if we need an return statement and curly braces should be must in the regular function, and then in arrow function it can implicitly return in a single line expression. Yeah, it's living with the math. A regular function has the access to the inbuilt arguments object containing all the value passed to the function. But arrow function does not have the argument object. If you need an argument, then you must use the REST parameters. Is dot args. Constructor new keyword can be used to instantiate objects in the regular function. Uh, can't be used can't be used as constructor, and last construct method will throw type error if you use new object. The global window. This does not exist on it inherit directly from the parent scope where the function is defined. Arrow function does not have this, and it inherits from the parent, and the regular function have this can be used to instantiate something. All right, it is prototypal inheritance and prototype chain. Damn. In JavaScript, prototypal inheritance is a built-in function where object can inherit properties and method from other objects. Prototypal inheritance is the inheritance is supposed to be like that, right? A function where object can inherit properties from another object. But that was supposed to be different, I guess. The inheritance is supposed to be uh, inheriting the property from the parent to the child classes, I guess. That is supposed to be the inheritance definition. But in case of prototypal inheritance, it can inherit the property from different objects, I guess, where objects can inherit properties from different objects. Well, like method from another object can inherit properties. Yeah, everything like values and functions, I guess, from another object. The object is being generated by using the class name, right? With the new keyword. Then I feel like it's same as inheritance, but the only difference is like where object inherits the properties from properties and methods from the other object. Every object in JavaScript has a hidden internal link to another object called as prototype. You can think of prototype as backup fallback object. How prototype chain works. When you request a property or method from an object, the JavaScript engine performs a sequential lookup. The prototypal inheritance and prototype chain.
Hello everyone, this is Akshay and in this video I'll be covering prototypal inheritance. To understand prototypal inheritance, we will also be covering first of all what prototype is, what is prototype chaining, what prototype chain actually is, and after understanding all those, we'll come on to prototypal inheritance. So prototypal inheritance is itself a very core concept of JavaScript. And it is needless to say that it is a very important interview question, and a lot of companies are asking this question just because the whole concept of inheritance is JavaScript is based on prototypal inheritance and what prototype is and how everything works behind the scene in JavaScript. So this video is definitely going to be an eye opener for you, and a lot of new things will be covered in this video. So keep watching. So before starting to explain what all these things are, I wanted to tell you that inheritance as a concept in JavaScript is totally different than other languages. Or if you try to compare prototypal inheritance with classical inheritance, then it won't make sense. Classical inheritance and inheritance in other languages is a completely different topic, and this is completely different. So don't use your knowledge of other languages inheritance into this, because it will definitely mess up. It is very simple, it is very easy to understand. Just know that inheritance is like one object trying to access methods and properties of other object. It is that simple, that easy. Let's see how we can do it, and let's see with the examples how we can demonstrate all these things. So on internet you will find all sort of examples of prototypal inheritance explained with cars, trains, buses and animals and whatnot. But over here I'll be taking just simple objects and explaining you in a very easy way. So I'm not using those random examples, just simple plain JavaScript. Let's see the demo and you'll definitely learn a lot. To understand this, let's create an array. That's ARR, and let's put some value in it. Akshay, and let's say it's Aditya. Okay, so I have created this array. So have you ever wondered, when we check ARR and when put a dot, then we get access to all these methods and properties. So how does this array getting access to all these built-in functions, methods, properties we didn't define it, right? So we didn't write any implementation for array.push or anything else. We didn't do that. But how is this ARR getting access to this? So, and not just ARR, array, but suppose if we had an object, let's create an object. It has some properties, suppose name and a city, let's call it as Dehradun. And suppose we also had a method, which is get intro, which is a function so generally when you see if we want to access this property name on that object, so we do object.name and we get access to this property. But how is this object getting access to other properties and methods as well, just like toString function? How is it getting access to this? So there is something known as prototype. So here is it, prototypes come into picture. So whenever you create a JavaScript object, JavaScript engine automatically, without even letting you know, attaches your object with some hidden properties and functions. And these are the hidden properties and functions which you can access it by just doing object dot, and we can do a lot of things. And it's not just with the case of objects. If you create a function also, suppose we create a function which does nothing for now, and if we check it, so even these functions get access to a lot of other things, just like call, apply, and bind, and a lot of other functions. So, and functions are also somewhat objects, right? So whenever you create anything in JavaScript, even a variable, they get access to some of the hidden properties and methods. So these come via prototype. So let us understand what this prototype is. So whenever you create any object, JavaScript engine automatically puts this hidden properties into an object and attaches it to your object. So I repeat, it attaches an object to your original object, and that is how you get access to those properties and methods. So let's see how we can access that. So if you want to access that hidden object, we can do it by writing something known as ARR __ proto. And this is the object where JavaScript engine is putting all these functions and methods. So see, ARR __ proto, and if we do a dot over here, we get access to everything. So this is how you can get access to for each, includes, or any other methods which are present. So, and it's not just in the case of array. If you do it for object, then you get access to this object as well, which is the prototype object. So it also has some methods and properties. And same is the case with function when you do fun dot. So this is what prototype is. It is as simple as that. Just keep in your mind that it is just an object which is attached to each and every method, object, or an array or a function. Whatever you create in JavaScript, an object is attached to it. And that object has these properties which you can access directly by using a dot operator. So just how we do object dot name to get the name, that is how we can do object dot toString to get a toString of that object. So it is that simple. So let's see what ARR dot __ proto is. So ARR dot __ proto is this object, and it is same as array dot prototype. See, these two values are same. And when I say that even the __ proto is an object, and each and every object in JavaScript has a prototype, that means even this ARR dot __ proto has its own prototype. What does that mean? I mean ARR dot __ proto also has a prototype. So let's see what it is. So when we do this, we get this object. Now what this is? So this is actually the object dot prototype. And when I say this is also an object, so that means ARR dot __ proto and the prototype of this and the prototype of this again. What it is? It is actually null. So if you see, it is sort of a chain where the ARR dot __ so the ARR prototype is the array dot prototype, and the prototype of this array dot prototype is the object prototype, and the object's prototype is actually null. So that is what you call it as a prototype chain. So this is the whole chain. Whenever we create an array, it has its prototype, which is array dot prototype, and the array dot prototype object also has a prototype, which is object dot prototype, and then object dot prototype's prototype is actually null. That is the end of the chain. So if we see, in case of object, object dot underscore proto is nothing but object dot prototype, and object dot proto dot underscore proto dot underscore proto is what? Can you guess? What is the prototype of object dot prototype? Yes, it is null. In case of functions, let's check in case of functions as well. Functions dot underscore proto is nothing but function dot prototype. And have you ever wondered what the prototype of this looks like? It is again an object, which is equivalent to object dot prototype. So can you figure out something in your mind? So have you heard of that statement that everything in a JavaScript is nothing but an object? So I think that has come from here only. So whether you make an array, whether you make an object, whether you make a function, it is actually down the prototype chain ends up being an object. So if you create function, it has the prototype of function.prototype, and the function.prototype.prototype is again an object. So that is what the whole prototype chain is. This is known as the prototype chain, and it ends up being at null. So it is that simple, nothing else to worry about. To understand it better, let's take an example. So let me clear this function and an array, and let me keep this object and create another object to play with. So let me create an object2, and which has a name property again. Let's call it Aditya, and this is what our obj2 is, object2 is. So what I am trying to do right now, you should never do it in your real life coding. So I am trying to directly modify my object2's prototype. That means underscore proto. This is not advisable. You should never do it. It causes a huge performance issue. So you should never do it. Let me write it down in comments. Never do this. It is just for demonstration purpose in this example so that you can understand it better, but you should never write your code in this. If you want to modify prototype, there are different other ways to set the prototype, but right now what I am doing is not the best way for sure. So if we had this, so before modifying this actually, so let me comment it down for a while, and let me check first of all what object2 dot prototype object2 dot underscore proto is actually. So can you guess what it is? Okay, let me refresh the page. It is the object dot prototype. This object dot prototype. It is pointing to this object. So what if I actually point this proto to object instead? So what happens now? So what happens is, now by setting this object to object2 dot prototype, let's check it once. Yes, see, now object2 dot underscore proto is pointing to this object what we created, this one. It's same. So by this we can access the properties and method of this object inside object2. So how? So remember, just like we were able to access arr.push and everything which was inside underscore proto by using a dot operator, in same way we can also access objects property inside object2. So let me show you how. So suppose if I do object2.name, what happens is it goes to object2 and checks this name property and returns us. But what if I do something like object2 dot city? Can you guess what it is? Yes, it's Dehradun. So do you wonder how is it coming? It just because it is sitting inside its proto. So this object2's proto, if we see, it has the city property. So how it works? So what happens is when you try to access any property, suppose we try to access city inside object2. So first of all, it will check onto the top of the main object. So just in this case, it was checking the dot city inside object2. If it doesn't find it, it goes to the proto. If it doesn't find inside that proto itself, it will go to the proto of the proto, and that's how it goes throughout this chain. So this is whole prototype chain, and that's how JavaScript engine processes this properties. So this is how object2 inherits from object. So that is what prototypal inheritance is. Object2 is inheriting properties of object. When we did object2.city, it is checking inside object2. If it is not present, it is inheriting from the object, its parent, which is city. So just because it is set inside its underscore proto property. So when we access, so like how we access city, can we access the .get intro as well? Let us check what this prints. So if we did something like object.get intro, what does it prints? It prints Akshay from Dehradun. just because it has access to this get intro method. But what if I did object2.getIntro? Will it inherit? Or can you guess what the output will be when I do object2.getIntro? Can you guess? Think for a while and check what this answer will be. Yes, you are right. It will be Aditya from Dehradun. So what happens in this case? So whenever you call object2.getIntro, now that this inside this getIntro method is pointing to the object2. So it tried to log this.name. So it tried to access the name property inside the object2 object. So it find the name property and returns the name property and prints it. And when it doesn't find the city property inside this object2, it goes to the prototype chain, and according to the prototype chain, it finds it inside object, so it prints Dehradun. So that's how it was. That's what it is, and that simple it is. This is what prototypal inheritance is, where object2 is inheriting properties and methods from the proto, which is pointing to this object. So let me tell you one more super fun thing. So let me clear everything over here. If you have seen my video of the polyfill for bind method, I did something like function.prototype.mybind. If you can relate it, I did something like that, and I created a function like this. So this was to implement mybind, and I kept it inside function.prototype. Why did I do that? So for now, I'm not implementing this fully. Just I am trying to log something inside this, some random things. So what does that mean and why I did that? So just because now I think you must be able to guess it. So if we had some function fun, so if we try to check fun dot underscore underscore proto underscore underscore, now we will be able to access this mybind method as well. See, we got access to this mybind method. So each and every function what you create will now get access to mybind method, just because we have set this mybind onto function.prototype. Setting this mybind onto the prototype of function will give all the functions access to this mybind method. So whether it is fun or we have a new function fun2, each and every method now can access this mybind method. It's that easy, that simple. So if you have not checked my bind video, then you can definitely check it. It was an awesome video, and it's a very super important interview question, and it is asked by a lot of big companies. So you can go ahead and check out.
It is created. From there, we can access a lot of methods and things out of there. That is what the prototypal inheritance. Right. We have promise all settled race. It's supposed to be promises, right? Types of promises. Settled race.
Welcome back to Namaste JavaScript, and today we are going to cover Promise APIs. So Promise APIs, there are 4 Promise APIs which are majorly important, and I will cover all of them in this video. These Promise APIs will be very helpful when you are giving your interviews, right? And not just interviews, it will be very helpful when you are building your day-to-day applications. I was building a major project in my Namaste React course, and we came to a place where we have to make parallel API calls, and that is where we use Promise APIs, these Promise APIs. Okay, so it is very important even if you are building React applications, wherever JavaScript promises comes into picture, these APIs will be very helpful. So much important interview questions also comes with this. I will try to cover everything in this video. So let us just start. Before moving on to the code, I will first tell you the theory portion of it so that you can understand it properly. Then we will write code for it. Okay, so let's get started. So get your notebook and pen and let's just begin. Okay, so I have my notebook and pen with me. So let me just tell you. So first Promise API that we are going to cover is known as promise.all. Okay, promise.all. So why this promise.all is used?
You want whenever you want something that need to be fulfilled on any cost, then I think we use promise all. Let's see what this promise says.
what is the contract for it, let me tell you that. So suppose if you have to make parallel API calls and get the results, it's a very important use case, right? Very, what you'll say, very popular use case, right? So what happens is, suppose if you have 10 IDs, and suppose, like, let me take an hypothetical example. There are 10 IDs, let's call it as user IDs, and you have an API call for user info, and you want to make 10 parallel API calls and get the results for 10 different users. How will you do that, right? This kind of stuff. This is very common when you are building a project. So that is when you will use promise.all kind of API, right? Now, it is used to handle multiple promises together. Okay, if there are multiple API calls, multiple promises, it will handle that. How? So promise.all, the contract of promise.all is, it takes an array of promises as an input. So now I am calling this as array, but when you will read the documentation, it is iterable. Okay, so what you will pass inside is an iterable, and array is an iterable, and most of the time you will just use array only. So let's stick to array for now, right? There are multiple iterables in JavaScript. We are just concerned about array because that is what you will use, right? So it will take an array of promises. Suppose let's assume that we have 3 promises. Okay, 3 API calls or 3 promises. You can have multiple, as much number as you want to, right? But right now I'm just concerned about 3. Okay, so suppose there are 3 promises, P1, P2, and P3. Okay, so what happens is, when you will write promise.all and you will give it P1, P2, P3, it will make 3 parallel API calls and get the result, right? It will make 3 parallel API calls and get the result. Now, suppose, listen to me carefully, here is when the trick comes into picture. What will happen? Okay, let's take different scenarios and see what will happen. What will be the output of it, right? So suppose this P1 is an API call. It takes, maybe, let's call it as, maybe it takes 3 seconds to come, right? 3 seconds to get the results, right? Suppose P2 takes, maybe let's call it as 1 second. Okay, maybe after 1 second P2 gets resolved, and P3, let's take it as 2 seconds. Okay, so P1 takes 3 seconds to get fulfilled, P2 takes 1, and P3 takes 2 seconds. And suppose all of them are success. Okay, first of all, let us talk about the success case. Okay, all of them are success. Okay, all of them, all the API calls were success, they did not fail. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? Okay, in that case, what will happen? So the output of promise.all will be an array with the result of all these 3 promises, right? What it will do, it will make an API call, it will collect all these results, and it will give it inside an array, and it will give it back, right? Just like we have array.map, right? You given an array and it returns an array. Similarly, promise.all will return an array with value of all these results. Okay, so it will have a val1. Let me call this as val1, val2, and val3, right? So this val1 comes from P1, right? This val1 comes from P1, the result of P1. The val2 is result of P2, and the val3 is result of P3. Very simple, right? This is what it will do. How much time will it take? So basically, now let me tell you. Okay, so what happened right now is, the first API took 3 seconds, the second took 1 second, and the third took 2 seconds, right? But the final promise.all API will take 3 seconds, basically after 3 seconds, right? So after 3 seconds, it will give me this result. Basically, this is my output. Okay, after 3 seconds. Why 3 seconds? Because promise.all will make all these 3 API calls in parallel, but it will wait for all of them to finish. Okay, this is an important thing. It will wait for all of them to finish. Note it down in your notebook. Okay, it will wait for all of them to finish. It will collect the results, and it will give you this result, and this will be the output over here, right? It will give you an array of output. So we discussed the success case over here. Now let us just see what if any of these promises fails or get rejected, right? So right now all these promises were getting fulfilled, they were getting success, they were getting resolved. What if any of these promises get rejected? Then promise.all works differently. Okay, so let us see that. So again, let us take an example, similar kind of example, where we have promise.all, but this time what happens is, it again has these 3 promises, P1, P2, and P3, but this time one of the promises will get rejected. Okay, one of these promises will get rejected. So let us take the similar kind of example, right? So P1 takes 3 seconds, P2 will take 1 second, and P3 will take 2 seconds. Okay, but what happens is, after 1 second, P2 gets rejected. After 1 second, P2 get rejected. Now what will happen? So listen to me very carefully, take down note in your notebook. As soon as any of these promises will get rejected, promise.all will throw an error. Promise.all will also be a failure, and whatever error will it get from that promise, from that rejected promise, it will throw the same error as its result. Okay, so the output will be error. Okay, the output will be error, and this will be the same error which is returned by P2. Okay, the output will be error, and what will happen? Immediately, right? Immediately, as soon as error happened, right? As soon as error happened, it will return the error. In this case, P2 takes 1 second, and after 1 second, it got error. So that means after 1 second, right? after 1 second, you will see an error. It will not even, what I'm trying to say, it will not even wait for other promises to get successful or rejected or whatever. See, right now, it is just 1 second and it throwed an error already, right? It did not even wait for P1 or P3, right? P1 and P3 might get rejected or might get resolved. It did not wait for all of them. It just throwed an error right away, right? So this is how promise.all works. Now, what will happen to P1 and P3 now, right? Those API calls were already made. Will it get cancelled? No. Whenever you make an API call, whenever the promise is created, right? Whenever the promise is created or promise is executed, so what will happen? You can't cancel the promise in between, right? You can't cancel the promise in between. It is not possible in JavaScript at this point of time. Okay, there are theories where people are trying to get back cancelable promises. I feel that it's a stupid idea, right? To be honest. But again, right, that's a topic for some other day. But what I'm trying to say right now, you can't cancel a promise. Okay, so what will happen? These promises will eventually accept or reject. It's depend on their fate. But promise.all will get rejected as soon as any of these promises gets rejected. This is what I want to say. It will not wait for all the promises, right? When it was successful, right, in the above example, it was waiting for all the promises to be success. And after 3 seconds, it gave you the result. Over here, as soon as a promise is rejected, it will just throw an error, right? So basically, it's kind of all or none, right? So if all the promises success, so it will give you the collective result. If any one of them fails, that means the whole promise chain fails, right? The whole collection of promises fails. Okay, so this is what the thing is. It will not wait. Eventually, these promises will be success or will be failure. It does not matter. But after 1 second, right? This after 1 second, error will be thrown. Okay, it will not wait. Okay, it will not wait for other promises. Okay, it will not wait for other promises. Note it down in your notebook. Cool. So this was promise.all in success or in failure, right? Let me tell you one more thing. What if this 2 seconds promises, see, 1 second promises got success. What will happen if 2 second promises get rejected? So after 2 seconds, it will be rejected. Understood, right? So as soon as the first promise gets rejected, first time, it will just quickly, intermediately return the result error. Okay, so this is what is promise.all. Now, it doesn't look like a good thing, right? I mean, what if I just want results from successful promises? I don't care if one of my promises failed, it's okay. But still, I want results from other API calls also, right? Maybe if there are 10 API calls, I want results from 9 of them. It's okay if one of them fails, right? So in that case, we have one more promise API to handle that case. Let me tell you about that. It is known as promise.all settled, right? Promise.all settled. Promise.all settled. settled. Right? Promise.all settled. Right? Suppose if we pass in an array of P1, P2, P3 over here, right? P1, P2, P3 over here. If all of them get successful, right? If all of them get successful, right? And this takes 3 seconds, this takes 1 second, this takes 2 seconds. So what will happen? After 3 seconds, you will get the same results, right? Val1, val2, val3, right? The same results just like promise.all, but this will be different. But this will be different in case of failure. This will be the output for a success case. But what if one of these promises gets rejected, right? Suppose, let's take the same example. If P2 gets rejected, I am just erasing it and doing it right away over here only, right? So what if my P2 gets rejected? This gets rejected in 1 second. So what will happen is, this will still wait for all promises to fulfill, or maybe to get settled. Okay, let's not use the word fulfilled. Fulfilled, basically in promise world, fulfilled is used for success, right? So let's call it as settled, right? Settled. Okay, so wait for all the promises to settle, whether they are success or failure, it does not matter. It will wait till 3 seconds, and after 3 seconds, it will just after 3 seconds, right? Hope you are understanding it. After 3 seconds, it will wait for all the promises to complete. So after 1 second, this will fail, right? After 1 second, this promise will fail. After 2 seconds, we will get result of this, and after 3 seconds, we will get result of this, and all of these things are happening in parallel. So it will take 3 seconds for all these 3 to get settled, right? Irrespective of success or failure, it will give you all the results. Basically, it will give you val1, it will give you error 2, and it will give you val3. Did you understand that? The output over here will always be an array, right, of the same number of promises that you passed in, right? So there were 3 promises, so this array will contain 3 values. If it was success, then you will get a value. If it will error, you will get a error message over here. And if it is success again, so you will get a value over here. So this is promise.all, and this is promise.all settled. And earlier we talked about promise.all. So basically they both are same, just the error handling is different. If I have to rephrase it, promise.all is kind of like a fail fast, right? Fail fast, right? So promise.all is kind of like a fail fast, right? Can I call it as fail fast, right? So even if one fails, it just quickly gives you the result that one failed, right? And fail fast technique, and in promise.all settled, it waits for all the result and then will perform action accordingly, right? So this is how it works. And and it depends on use case also. Suppose if you made 5 API calls and if you really needed the result of all these 5 API calls to show a web page, right, then you will use promise.all. If one gets suppose if you are showing 5 cards, right, 5 cards on your page, and these 5 cards are populated by 5 API calls, one of them fails, just show 4 cards, right? In that case you can use promise.all settle. So there are different use cases for promise.any, promise.all and promise.all settle. Use it according to your need. Okay, so when we will use the example in code, you will understand it even more. Okay, so now let's move on to the third API, right? The third API, oh my god, okay, cool. So let's go to the third API. The third API is known as promise.race. Come on, take notes along with me. Okay, so promise.race. So promise.race again takes 3 promises. Now, as the name suggests, it's a race, right? And the person who will finish first will be the winner, right? So the person who finishes first will be the winner over here. So suppose if there are 3 promises again, and suppose P2 takes 1 second, right? Let's take the same example. P1 takes 3 seconds, P2 takes 1 second, P3 takes 2 seconds. So as soon as we get the winner, as soon as first promise is resolved, right? First promise is resolved, that is after 1 second. So what will do? After 1 second, it will give me the result of val2, right? It will give me the result of val2. Let me tell you, this is not an array. This is a value I am representing with this round brackets. Okay, it will give you the value of the second promise, right? Basically, it will give you the value of the first settled promise, right? It will give you the value of the first settled promise. After 1 second, right? After 1 second, whatever the result P2 will have, it will give you that value. Whatever the results P2 will give after 1 second, it will give you the value. Suppose if P3 was, suppose, right? Let me change this example. Suppose if P3 took 1 second, or P3 took, sorry, right? Let me remove this times, right? Let me remove this timeline. Suppose if P1, right? Suppose if P1 takes 3 seconds, P2 takes 5 seconds, P3 takes 2 seconds. So what will happen is P2 will be success after 2 seconds. Now the value will be P3. Sorry, P3 will get settled in 2 seconds. So the value over here will be P3, right? Value returned from the third promise. So basically what I'm trying to say, it's a race. Whatever promise settles first, let me tell you, the word is settled, settles first, you will get that result. Now an important question is, this is when the first promise was successful. What if the first promise was error? What if this promise was rejected? Let me just show you that case also. Let me remove this, right? Let me remove this. So this was the success case. You understood it, right? Keep taking down notes, okay? Keep taking down notes, right? Because I am rubbing it, right? So I am just changing whatever I am writing. So please keep taking down notes. Pause the video if I am going fast, but take down notes. It is very important, okay? What if after 2 seconds, P3 fails? What if P3 fails after 2 seconds? It is the first promise to get settled. What if the P3 fails? What will happen is error will be thrown. Error will.
You'll open the window for the error.
Will be thrown, right? It will return the error which will come from this error from P3, right? Whatever the error will come from P3, error will come, right? After 2 seconds. Got it? After 2 seconds. So what will happen is it will return result of first settled promise. Okay, so whether, okay, it's kind of like a race. First promise, whatever is resolved in that array, whether it is success, whether it is failure, it will return the result, right? It will not wait for other promises to finish. It will not wait for other promises to get settled. Eventually after 3 seconds, 5 seconds, they will also get settled, right? Success or failure, that's different part, but eventually they will get success, but it will not wait, right? It will also not wait because it's a race, right? So it will not wait, it will just quickly return the result. Success, failure does not matter, it will just return the result. Now this was promise.race. Now let's get back to our final and the fourth promise API, and that is interesting, right? And if you have understood this much, then the last promise API, it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay, so let's go to the next promise API. It is known as promise.any. Okay, promise.any. It again takes a list of promises, an array of promises. Okay, P1, P2, P3. Now we have this array of promises. Okay, now it is very much similar to race. right? It is very much similar to race, right? Whenever the first promise got resolved, the only difference is it will wait for the first promise to get successful. Okay, it will wait for first promise to get successful, right? In promise.race, irrespective of whether you get success or failure, you are returning the result of the first one, right? Over here, you will wait for the first success. Okay, what will happen? You will wait for first success. Okay, first fulfilled, first resolved. Okay, so this is what is promise.any, right? Again, taking the example, suppose it takes 3 seconds, P2 takes 1 second, P3 takes 2 seconds. What will happen is P2 becomes successful, it will return you the value of P2, val P2, right? Val 2. It will return the val 2. Okay, this is a normal case. What if P1 gets rejected? What if P1 gets rejected, right? P1 after 1 second get rejected. Now, nothing will happen after 1 second. Promise.any will wait for a success, right? It is a success seeking, right? It's a success seeking race, right? So it's kind of like a race, but whenever it is successful, then only it will return the result. Okay. Now, what will happen after 2 seconds? After 2 seconds, suppose my P3 got success. Okay. So what it will do in this case, P2, this P2 was rejected, right? This was rejected. So it will ignore this. Now it will go to P3 and it is successful. So it will return the result from P3, right? So let's call this as val 3, right? From P3, it will return this result. What if this P3 also was unsuccessful, right? What if P3 also gets rejected, right? Then it will again wait for P2, P1. And suppose if P1 was success, right? What will happen? Then the value will be val 1, right? Then the value will be this value which will be returned from here. Got it? So basically, it will wait for the first success. Now you must be thinking, a curiosity will come into your head. I know what you are thinking, that what if everything fails? What if everything fails, right? What if everything fails, right? What if, suppose, let me just clear all of this and let me just show you what if everything fails over here. What if everything fails over here? All of them got failed. All the API calls failed. So the return result will be an aggregated error. Aggregated error. Now when all of them will be failed, then the return will be error, obviously. But this time it will be an aggregate error, right? Aggregate error. And this aggregate error will be an array of all the 3 errors. Okay? It will be an error of error 1, error 2, error 3. So basically, a good part about promise.any is it will wait for success, right? Wait for the first success. But if all fails, in case of all fails, then it will wait for success and it will ignore the failures. But if all of them fails, now it will collect all the errors and it will give you back this aggregate error. It will give you back this aggregate error. And now all these errors will be, if all fails, it will give you the list of all errors. Okay. And it will, so basically what will happen is, see this, the first result you get after 1 second, P2, the second result you get after 2 seconds, the third result you get after 3 seconds, right? So all of them failed. So after 3 seconds, right? After 3 seconds, you will get this type of array and this array will have all the errors. Got it? So a difference between a race and any is that race will give you the first result irrespective of success or failure. Promise.any will wait for a success, right? And it will give you success, whatever the first success is, after 3 seconds, right? So all of them failed. So after 3 seconds, right? After 3 seconds, you will get this type of array and this array will have all the errors. Got it? So a difference between a race and any is that race will give you the first result irrespective of success or failure. Promise.any will wait for a success, right? Right? And it will give you success, whatever the first success is. If all of them fails, then it will give you an array of all of the failures. Hope you would have understood it. I have tried to explain you beautifully using diagrams, right? These diagrams are very helpful to make a memory map in your head. Now when you will write code, you will just love it. I'm telling you, if you understood this much, writing code will be a piece of cake for you. And you will never forget in this life. Right? I'm telling you will never forget in your life. It is very easy. In Namaste JavaScript, my main aim is to just teach you the best. Right? And I'm telling you, my dear friends, I have used this promise APIs. I have used these promise APIs into my Namaste React. I have a course, Namaste React course, right? Where I teach React. I was building a final project and there I had to make parallel API calls and I made parallel API calls and I had to use these APIs. Very important. And in your interviews, right, the interviewer can confuse you between race and any, the failure case, the success case, this, that, right? So you should know all of these cases, right? We will recap this quickly and then we will move to code, okay? So please let us just quickly recap it and then we will just go back and write code very quickly. I will show you how to write code. I will show you how actually these promises work, right? How you will get the details, how you will use it as in your day-to-day life, okay? So let's go back to our revision, right? Let me just quickly revise it. I am going very fast, so listen to me very carefully. Promise.all takes an array of promises, right? This is the first thing. Suppose if all of them get successful, so it will return you an, okay, I think we have a success case also, yes. If all of them get successful, it will return you an array of all the 3 values from these promises, okay? It will return you all the success values and you will get the result after 3 seconds, right? You understood, right? Why 3 seconds? Because 3 parallel API calls were made and after 3 seconds we get the last result, so it will wait for all of the API calls to finish. It will wait, listen to me very carefully, it will wait for all the API calls to finish, right? And it will collect all these results, it will give you an array of all these results. But if it fails, what if it fails? If it will fail, then what will happen? If any one of them fails, it will not move ahead. It will just quickly return the result, right? It will just quickly return the result. It is also known as fail fast. It will quickly, so basically fail fast is if any has to fail, then quickly fail, right? Fail, right? Don't wait for 3 seconds, right? Why to wait for 3 seconds? If one of them fails. There will be some use cases when you might want to use all, right? When you want this behavior that I want the result of either all these promises or I don't want result of any of them. I want quick error, right? So that is where you will use this. In promise.all settle, this is exactly similar to all in success cases. But in failure case, even if one API call fails, it will still wait for all the API calls to finish, right? And then you will get this array after 3 seconds. And you will get the value or error according to what the promises you sent in the same order, okay? So if P1 was fulfilled, then the value success value will come over here. P2 gets rejected, the error will come over here. P3 gets success, the success value will come over here, right? Let's go back quickly to promise.trace. Hope you are understanding this. Let me tell you, very important, I have taught you in a diagrammatic fashion, right? When you learn with images, it sticks in your head. Hope this is sticking to your head, okay? So hope you are getting something out of this. The third one is promise.race. In this, it's kind of like a race, right? P1, P2, P3 are racing. The first settled. See, there is a difference between a lingo, right? When you say settle, it can settle with a success or a failure. It can settle with a resolved, or a promise can get resolved or rejected, but it's in a settled state, right? It has settled. Settled means you have gotten response, whether it is success or failure, that's a different case. Settles, right? So first settle, and let me tell you, because interviewers will confuse you. They will say fulfilled, success, settle, resolve, reject. You will get messed up. Success, failure. Listen to me very carefully. Get that lingo in your habit, because I hate those type of interviewers which focus more on the lingo. But I understand that, okay.
Special vocabulary, slang, or jargon.
Like now interviewers are asking you, you should also know. So please know that you will always use the word settle, right? It will return the results as soon as the first settle promise. It will return the result of the first settle promise. Now the settle promise can be success or failure. If it is success, it will return the success. If it is error, it will return the error. The first settled promise, right? This is race. Now, right? Now promise.any, it will return the result of first settled resolved or first settled success, right? First settled success. Okay. So remember, if it fails, if the first settled promise fails, it will wait for the second. If the second also fails, it will wait for the third, and it will keep on waiting till it gets a success, right? It's a success seeking API, right? It's seeking for a success. It's basically seeking for first success, right? Let's write it down, right? Seeking for first success, right? Pardon my bad handwriting. I'm writing very fast. That's why it is happening. It is seeking the first success. Once it gets the first success, it will quickly return the result, right? So that is what, if all of them fails, then it will give you an aggregate error, right? Error, an array of errors, all the error messages. So this is what it will give you. Now, this is all the theory part. And if you have understood the theory, let me tell you, you have understood 80% of the things. Okay, you have understood 80% of the things. Now let's move on to our VS Code editor and try to see all of this in action. You will just love it. You should also know how to write code for all of them, isn't it? Okay, so let us just quickly write the code for all of them. Okay, so first of all, right, we will see what is promise. Okay, oh my god, my caps lock is on. Promise.all. Okay, so we'll first of all see promise.all. It will take an array of promises, right? P1, P2, and P3. Okay, P1, P2, P3. These P1, P2, P3 can be API calls also. Okay, suppose if P1 is a API call, you can write fetch, and you can fetch a result, right? This P1 promise can be an API call also, right? Suppose you are fetching some data. But for this example, I'm not making actual API calls, okay? For this demo, I'm not making API calls. I am writing a normal promise, okay? Because we have more control over the timer, right, on it, so that I can demonstrate all the cases to you. Okay, so I'm creating a promise. You can also use fetch over here if you want to see live examples, and that is what you will do generally in your real world example. But I am just using this to show you the actual demo, how it works, right? So I am doing a set timeout. After set timeout, okay, let me resolve the first promise. Resolve it with a success, okay? So P1 success, okay? P1 success. Let me call this as P1 success over here. And let's take the same example. After 3 seconds, it will give you the success, okay? 3 seconds, it will give you the success, right? And what if let me make P2 P3 also, right? So P2 is P2 success, okay? P2 success, but it will take 1 second, right? This is what the example was. And what if it is P3 will take 2 seconds, and the P3 will be resolved with a P3 success, okay? P3 success. Now let me tell you, let's call this as P1 P2 P3, right? P1 P2 P3. And now what is the return result for this, right? What I will do is I will just do so basically it returns a promise only, right? So let me get the result of this, right? Result, right? Let me get the result and let me just log the result over here. Log the result. Whatever the result will be here, I will just logging it to show you, right? And let us also see the time also, right? So basically time, right? So basically P1 takes 3 seconds to resolve. P2 takes 1 second to resolve. I am just making a dummy. So basically these are, if you are not understanding what I have written all of this is dummy promises. I have created dummy promises. Actually, you will make an API calls or you will use actual promises and they will take their own time. I have created dummy promises so that I can control at what time it gets resolved, okay? To show you the demo. Cool. So this is promise.all. Hope all of this is visible also. Let me increase the font. Okay, cool. So this is the font. Now promise.all. Now let me just save it and refresh my page. Save it and refresh my page and let me see what will be the result. I am saving it and I have refreshed the page. So after 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, you will get an array. See this array of response P1 success, P2 success, P3 success. And it took 3 seconds, right? It took 3 seconds, isn't it? If I refresh my page, it will take 3 seconds and it will get the result, right? After 3 seconds, remember this, right? Now let us fail one of them, right? Suppose let us fail the first promise, okay? Let us fail this first promise, okay? So CB, okay? I am commenting down the success. Let me just make it P2 fail. Okay, P2 fail, P2 fail, and let me just reject this promise, REJECT. Okay, so what should happen is, so now what will happen after 1 second, it will throw an error, right? This is what we learned in theory, right? After 1 second, it will throw an error. Let us see. It will not wait for this 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Exactly after 1 second, it will throw an error. Okay, I'll show you to you. Let us save this, right? If I save this, refresh the page. Refresh the page. See, after 1 second itself, it just failed. Now this is an uncaught error because I have not written a catch over here. So let us just catch it, right? Because catch is a good thing, right? We should catch the errors, right? And let me do a console.log of this error. Okay, so let me just catch this. Let me write catch in another line so that it is much readable. Okay, so we are catching the error. So if I save it, if I refresh the page, see this, after 1 second, P2 fail. We have, oh, it is not even looking like an error. So let me make it look like an error. Basically console.err, error, right? Console.error. So if I do console.error, yes. So it is now this is not an uncaught error. This is an error which I have explicitly logged it, right? So it's not an uncaught error. It is always good. You know, while I'm teaching this Namaste JavaScript, I also want to teach you good practices. Never ever rely on uncaught error. You should never have this uncaught error in your code, okay? Let me just show it to you. See this. Uncaught, right? Uncaught means you are not even aware of, you have not handled the error, right? This is uncaught error, right? So don't get into uncaught error. Always write your catch statement. Always catch your errors before the browser catches your error. You should catch your error. Okay, so you write a catch statement. So see this is a caught error, right? And if I do a console log, it will not even look like an error. See this, it will be P2 fail. Okay, so this is P2 fail, right? Let me make it console.error only so that error is visible properly. But after 1 second it fails. This is what I wanted to show you. What if this was successful right? But then this P3 failed, right? P3 failed after 2 seconds, okay? Let me just fail P3. What will be the error? So are you able to guess what will be the output over here? Are you able to guess, my dear friends? I am rejecting it. And let me write P3 fail, right? P3 fail. So you know that, okay, P3 will fail, right? But after 2 seconds it will fail. See this. Let me refresh the page. It will wait for 2 seconds. After 2 seconds it failed. Got it? So this is promise.all. This is promise.all. Got it? Now, let us talk about promise.settled. Hope you would have understood it. Play more with it, right? Try to fail, reject, fail all of them. Check all what happens, right? Do your own, fulfill your own curiosity by testing out all the results. Make multiple promise calls. Make 10 promise calls. Play with the code, right? But I want to get you started, right? So this is enough for now. Let's go to settled now, right? If we have promise.all settled, now you know what will happen. What will happen? It will wait for all the promises to fulfill. Whether it is success, whether it is failure, it will wait for all of them and it will collect all the results and it will give you back, right? This is what I studied over here. Let's go back to promise.all_settled. It will wait for all the promises to get settled and then it will collect all the results and then it will give you back, right? So if I save, right, you will see the output. After 3 seconds, we got this. See this. We got an error with 3 things. See this. If you will see this, it will give you 3 results. The first one was fulfilled. The second one was fulfilled. The third one was rejected. P1 success, P2 success, P3 failure. So basically, it waited for all the results to come in. It waited for all the results to come in. And after that, it gave you an array with all the results. Irrespective of whether it failed, irrespective of whether it passed, it gave you all the results. Okay. So this is promise.all_settled. Okay. And let me tell you, this is the safest option among all. Promise.any, race, all. Promise.all_settled is safest option. It waits for all the promises to settle, right? That is why it is all settled. It will only return the results once all the promises are settled, right? That is why it is all settled. I really like their names, right? All settled. Got it? So this is what it is. In the success case, I'm not showing you the success case over here because in the success case, it will give all the fulfilled. And also see this, right? It will give you an object, right? Now it will give you an array of objects and each of this object will have a status and it will have a value, right? So if it is success, it will give you a status which is fulfilled and it will give you a value which is the value of the success message. But if it gets rejected, it will give you a status rejected and it will give you a reason for rejection. Got it? So this is what is to be noted over here, the format. So it will give you an object. Okay, this is what you have to know. Take it down as a note. It will give you an object. Most people forget this, right? Good that we are doing a demo and we got into this, right? So now let us go to race. Okay, let's see how race works. Now you know, right, how race works. Whatever will be the first one, it will just return you the result, right? Whether it is success or failure, it will first return the result. Let me save it and refresh the page, right? See this. It gives you P2 success. Why P2? Because P2 was 1 second and it gave you the P2 success. Okay, what if P2 was not the first one? Suppose P2 takes 5 seconds, right? But P3 takes 2 seconds and it gets failed. What will happen? Save the file. After 2 seconds, P3 fail. See this. If I refresh the page, after 2 seconds, P3 fail. Right? So whatever, it is kind of like a race. Whatever will take the least time, right? Among all these 3 promises, the P3 was taking 2 seconds. Whether it is success, whether it is failure, it will just finish it and it will just quickly throw an error. Right? So basically, if you have to summarize, you know why I summarize it? Because this is how you have to explain an interview. Right? You will not get words. Let me tell you. You will know what will happen, but you will not get words. That is why I am, while you know the concept, you should also know how to explain in interviews. Most people fail in interviews because they can't explain it. They know it in their head, but they can't express it out in words. That is why I speak a lot. I continuously speak a lot so that it gets into your head. That is why people who watch Namaste JavaScript do better in interviews because I feed it in your head. Feed it in your head. You have to use the word settled. What happens when you do a race? Listen to me very carefully. In case of promise.race, the first settled promise, whether it is success or failure, it will return the result. The result will be the value, the error or the value of the first settled promise. First settled promise. Okay. Settle is a keyword over here. Settle is a keyword irrespective of fail or success, irrespective of resolve or reject, irrespective of fulfilled or rejected. Right. So fulfilled, rejected, resolve. Let me also tell you one thing, right? So a lot of mess happens when you don't know the lingo, right? I also want to tell you the lingo, right? Lingo used in promise world. Once you know the lingo, it will be easy for you to read the documentation also. Okay. So when you say, when you say a promise, right? Let me go back to my notebook, right? When you say a promise is settled, right? When you say a promise is settled, that means you have got the result. Got the result, right? Basically, right? Now, once the promise is settled, it can go in two states. And there are different lingos for this, right? Once the promise is settled, it can either resolve or it can reject. Okay, it can either resolve or reject. Note it down in your notebook, right? It can either be success or failure. It can either be fulfilled or it can be rejected. Okay, so these are the lingos which are common in your promise world. You should know all of them, right? Don't confuse settled. Sometimes people think that settle means it's always a success. No, settle can be a failure as well as a success, right? And a promise is generally fulfilled or rejected, right? This is what the status you will get when you will use promise dot all settled over here. Okay, if you use all settled, you will get either fulfilled or rejected. Okay, so you should know all of this. Note it down. It is very important, my dear friends. Very important. I want to teach you in depth. I want to teach you all these things. Nobody will teach you all this. I'm telling you. Go to any YouTube video. Tell me if somebody is explaining this. Because I have struggled myself. I am talking from my experience that a lot of people get confused. Tell me down in the comments whether you get confused or not with this. You get confused, right? Right? And let me tell you that when you will go in an interview, it will be very tough for you to explain also. In English. It will be there in your head, but it will be very tough for you to explain it in English. That what is promise.trace. When you will explain promise.trace, what will happen? You will say, oh, 3 promises and promise resolve, reject, or you will get confused, right? You should know the lingo. Practice this lingo. Fulfill, resolve, success, failure, reject, rejected. Know all this lingo. What is settled, what is not settled, right? Because it's very important. Interviewers today are expecting all this. I know this is nonsense, but what to do? Interviewers are like that. We have to improve ourselves, right? We can't just blame our interviewer, right? So that's what I'm saying, that please know the lingo. It is very, very, very important. Cool. So let's move on to our last one, which is promise.any, right? What will happen promise.any? How will you explain it to your interviewer? Let me recall it once again. Promise.any will wait for the first settled success, first resolved settled promise. Okay, first settled success. Okay, it will wait for first settled success. In this case, see, the first will be P3 and after 2 seconds P3, but this P3 will fail. So it will still not throw P3 fail error. It will wait for the other promise to get success, right? So let me show it to you. Let me save this promise.any. If I save and refresh, so after 2 seconds, it did not give any output, but after 3 seconds, it gave the output P1 success. Did you understand this? Were you expecting all this? If you were expecting the same result, right? You have learned this, right? You have learned this and you will learn for your life, right? You will never forget this, right? Okay, so see this P1 success came in, right? Why P1 success you understood, right? Okay, let me ask you one more question, okay? Let me just modify this a little, okay? So let me modify this a little and then I will ask you, okay? Then I will ask you what will happen now, right? What will be the output? So suppose P1 also fails, okay? P1 also fails. So what will be the output now, right? So, and let me make it
fail, P3 fail. After 5 seconds, you get success.
3 seconds, okay? So now P3 fails in 2 seconds, P1 fails in 3 seconds, P2 is success in 5 seconds. What will happen after how much time? This is the question for you. Tell me, what will be the answer? Let me tell you the answer. After 5 seconds, we will see P2 success. And promise.any will ignore both of them. If you gave this answer right, that means you're learning something today, right? You learned something in this video. Let me save it up. Let me go back over here, right? Let me go back over here. See this, it is waiting, right? After 5 seconds, it gave me P2 success. Exactly how we...
Since any will ignore everything, like only shows if something is true, which is going to be success. That's all. If everything is failed, then we will get an array of error. Here we can see like we are having 2 rejected, but we have 1 resolved. So it will wait till 1 result comes and then after it will be
we were expecting. It ignored this. After 2 seconds, it ignored this P3. After 3 seconds, it ignored this P1. It will wait for success. It will wait for success. Okay. Now, suppose all of them fails. Okay. Let us fail all of them. You know, right? What it will give? What will it give? Do you remember that term? It will give you an aggregate error. Note down that term, aggregate error. Aggregate error. Note it down. It is exactly aggregate error. Let me show it to you as an example. Let me refresh the page. If I refresh my page, see, it will wait for all of them. After 5 seconds, it will give you the result when all of them are successful. Okay. So it will wait. Oh, it gave us P2 success. Why? Okay, I did not save the file. Sorry, my bad. Okay, I did not save the file. I rejected all of this, and let me reject it after 5 seconds. Okay, let me save the file. Okay, my bad. I was not saving the file. Okay, I saved the file. Hit the refresh. I will now. It will wait for 5 seconds till all of these promises. See this? It gave you the aggregate error. Do you see this? This is known as aggregate error. This is a different type of error, my dear friends. All promises were rejected. Aggregate error. Right now, the interviewer can, some random interviewer will ask you what is aggregate error. You will not know it, my dear friends. Will you know it? No. If you know where it is coming, then only you will know what is aggregate error. right? That is why I'm focusing, emphasizing on it. It will just aggregate all the results, all the errors, and it will give you aggregate error. Now you would ask me, Akshay, you also said that when we will get an aggregate error, you will also give an array with these errors. Where are they? Right? We will also get this errors array, right? Here I can't see an error. You are absolutely right. I told you that we will also get an error, but you will not get that error right away. You will get that error in a object, right? How do you handle this aggregate error? Let me just show it to you. In your catch statement, you will have to write a console.log and do a error.errors, right? It will create an array errors, and in this errors array, you will get all the aggregated error, right? So let me save it, refresh the page, right? After 5 seconds, you will see something on the console. Let's see. See this. Did you get this? Right? Did you get the error messages? Here we rejected with P2 fail error message. This is the error message. This is the error message. This is the error message. See, you get all these error messages, isn't it? So basically, this error object that you will get over here in catch statement, it will have an object, this errors, right? It will give you the errors in a form of a list, right? If you will do errors of 0, it will give you the first error. If you do errors of 1, it will give you the second error, and similarly. So this is how things will work in promise.any. Hope you would have understood, my dear friends. This was the code part of these promise APIs. This is very, very, very important. Did you like it? Did you like it? Please comment down and tell me, please. Right? I am teaching. I'm giving all this for you for free. All these amazing episodes for free. It takes a lot of time, my dear friends. It takes a lot of time. It does not even make me any money, right? If I give it on YouTube, right? So it takes a lot of time. Please appreciate the effort. Please, you know what happens? If I will make a video of earn 1 crore, right? How to get a job in FANG, earn 1 crore in 2 months. You will click those. That's a clickbait video. If I make clickbait video, then I get a lot of reach. I don't want to do that. If I make a technical video, it does not get any reach, right? So what I want is, please, please, please help me reach more people. I have put a lot of efforts. Please share it on LinkedIn. Even if you have learned it, right? Even if you have learned one thing from this video, please share it on LinkedIn. Please share it on Twitter. Please share it with your friends. Please share it on WhatsApp, yaar. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like the video. See, right? I am giving you my knowledge. Please like it. That is all I need, right? You know, every artist need an appreciation, right? तुमने एक कहावत सुनी होगी, in Hindi we call it as artist तो एक कलाकार तालियों का भूखा होता है, right? Basically artist is hungry for claps, right? Basically claps means appreciation, right? An artist is just hungry for appreciation. Please, please, if you like it, if I get more likes, it gives me a lot of satisfaction that okay, people are learning something from it. You know, this is what I want from you, nothing more, right? Please, please, please share it with your friends. Help me reach more people. Help me do. And if you want to support, right? If you want to support, then I don't even want to just donate me money. Don't donate me money. I have brought a React course with me. I am teaching React, and everything in React is also in depth. If you love Namaste JavaScript, you will love Namaste React also. Learn React. React is the hottest thing right now. I have picked up. I have left my job now. I am into full-time teaching. I have built a React course also. I will give you the link in the description also. Go check out my React course also. It's kind of like supporting the channel, and trust me, once you buy that React course, I am telling you on point today, that is the best. Namaste React is the best React course available in the market right now. You will not find that depth anywhere. You will not find that depth anywhere. It has come from, you know, I've been coding in React since 7-8 years now, right? I don't know exactly 7 or 8, but around 7-8 years now in React. And all of that, what I have learned, I have put into that course. Everything in depth. I am diving deep into it. You will just love it. Everything is advanced concept. I start from scratch. I take you to advanced concept. And trust me, that's the best course of React available right now in the market. I have put in everything over there, right? So if you want to check it out, check out React, right? If you want to support my channel, please buy React course. Spread your knowledge. You know, some people also gift that course to their brothers and sisters and siblings and friends and families, right? On their birthdays, gifts. I was amazed to see that. So if you want to gift it, you can gift it. If you want to buy it for yourself, buy it for yourself. That is how you can support my channel. And if you don't want to buy, it's okay for that also. I will still keep giving you knowledge for free on YouTube as well. I will keep Namaste JavaScript free over here on YouTube. Please like and share. At least that is what I can ask you for. So thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed Promise APIs. In the next episode, I will bring a very good topic, okay? So wait for the next episode of Namaste JavaScript Season 2. And this is Season 2. We are doing a lot of cool stuff. We are building a lot of cool stuff. We are learning a lot of new things. And thanks for watching and thanks for supporting my channel. Thank you so much. Signing off.
And on we'll go.
Welcome back to Namaste JavaScript, and today we are going to study async await. I know this is the most awaited topic of this series, and I have come here to teach you.
करते हैं थ्रॉटल बना लो, थ्रॉटल थ्रॉटल, हाँ फंक्शन दो डिले दो, सेम डिप्ले। तो चलते हैं हमारे चैट जीपीटी के ऊपर एंड देखते हैं व्हाट इज द क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 फॉर अस। ओके, सो ये है हमारा क्वेश्चन नंबर 4, इंप्लीमेंट थ्रॉटलिंग एंड डीबाउंस फंक्शंस इन जावास्क्रिप्ट। यार ये कब से हार्ड क्वेश्चन होने लग गया? थ्रॉटलिंग एंड डीबाउंस आई थिंक इज द सिंपलेस्ट थिंग दैट यू कैन डू, और ये तो बिल्कुल भी हार्ड नहीं है। आई एम श्योर इवन इफ यू आर वाचिंग दिस वीडियो, अगर आप एक फ्रेशर लेवल इंटरव्यू भी देते हो तो ये वाला क्वेश्चन तो आई मीन मस्ट है, आना ही आना है। सो डीबाउंस एंड थ्रॉटल, एंड ये बहुत कॉमनली यूज भी होता है। अगर आप रिएक्ट में कोई वेब एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हो, आप एपीआई कॉलिंग कर रहे हो, तो ये तो बहुत कॉमनली यूज फंक्शंस है डीबाउंस एंड थ्रॉटल। ओके ठीक है, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द डीबाउंस एंड थ्रॉटल। चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट। सो हम क्या करेंगे, हम यहाँ पर पहले समझ लेते हैं डीबाउंस क्या होता है और थ्रॉटल क्या होता है, और ये हमने रिसेंटली हमारे कोहोर्ट के अंदर भी कवर किया था बहुत इन डेप्थ के अंदर। सो ठीक है, समझते हैं। देखो डीबाउंस और थ्रॉटल दो डिफरेंट चीजें हैं बट बहुत ही इंटरलिंक्ड चीजें हैं। ठीक है ठीक है, तो आ चुके हम अपने ब्लैक बोर्ड के ऊपर। एक काम करते हैं, पहले ना डीबाउंस को समझते हैं। ठीक है, डीबाउंस डीबाउंस क्या होता है? यार एक चीज़ बताओ, आप सबने कभी ना कभी गूगल तो किया ही होगा, है ना? कभी ना कभी तो किया ही होगा। बहुत अच्छी वेबसाइट है, आई मीन शाउट आउट टू गूगल। इसके ऊपर ना आपके पास ना एक सर्च बार होता है, ऐसा है ना, एक सर्च बार होता है। फिर आपके पास यहाँ पर ऐसे बटन होता है ना, सर्च वगैरह करने के लिए। चलो मेरे डायग्राम देख रहे हो, मतलब क्या बढ़िया गूगल का पेज बनाया है। आप जब यहाँ पर टाइप करते हो, ठीक है, आप जब यहाँ पर टाइप करते हो, लेट्स से आप टाइप करना चाहते हो हार्ड जेएस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस, तो आप क्या करते हो, लेट्स से आपने टाइप किया एच, फिर आपने टाइप किया ए, फिर आपने टाइप किया आर, फिर आपने टाइप किया डी। आपने देखा कि जब आप टाइप कर रहे होते हो तो गूगल की एक आदत है कि वो आपको ना सजेशन देता रहता है नीचे, है ना? वो क्या करता है, वो ना आपको सजेशन देता रहता है यहाँ पे कि आप मे बी आप क्या सर्च करना चाहते हो। तो एक चीज़ बताओ, अगर आपको एक सिमिलर चीज़ इंप्लीमेंट करनी है तो आप क्या करोगे? पहली चीज़ जो हमारे माइंड में आएगी कि यार हर की प्रेस के ऊपर मैं एक एपीआई कॉल कर दूंगा। जब भी की प्रेस होगा एक एपीआई कॉल कर दो, है ना? सर्वर से डेटा मंगवा लो। तो मतलब कि अगर यूजर लिख रहा है हार्ड जेएस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चन, तो पहले आप एक कॉल करोगे एच के लिए, फिर उसके बाद आप एक कॉल करोगे, ठीक है, फिर आप एक कॉल करोगे एच ए के लिए, फिर आप एक कॉल करोगे एच ए आर के लिए, फिर आप एक कॉल करोगे एच ए आर डी के लिए, फिर आप एक कॉल करोगे एच ए आर डी स्पेस के लिए, फिर आप एक कॉल करोगे एच ए आर डी स्पेस जे के लिए, और फिर आप फाइनली कॉल करोगे एच ए आर डी जे एस के लिए। एंड करते 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 यू कैन सी दैट आपने कितनी सारी एपीआई कॉल्स कर दी, कितने सारे डेटाबेस में सर्च ऑपरेशंस आपने वेस्ट कर दिए, बिकॉज यूजर बेसिकली क्या करना चाहता था, हार्ड जावास्क्रिप्ट इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस को सर्च करना चाहता था। नाउ इसके टॉपिक ऑप्टिमाइजेशन ये हो सकता है कि आप यूजर को ना एक सर्च बटन दे दो, आप सजेशंस मत दो। आप यूजर को बोलो कि यार तो चुपचाप टाइप कर जो भी तेरे को टाइप करना है, और जब हो जाएगा सर्च का बटन दबा देना, तो मैं एक ही एपीआई कॉल में क्या करूंगा, सब कुछ सर्च कर दूंगा। बट उसमें एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा नहीं है, करेक्ट? आप यूजर को ऑटो सजेशन नहीं दे रहे हो। तो इस केस में क्या हम कुछ ऐसा इंप्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं कि जब तक तो यूजर टाइप कर रहा है, ठीक है, तब तक कुछ मत करो हार्ड जेएस, और जैसे ही यूजर रुका, देखो मैं रुक गया हूँ, अगर यूजर थोड़ी देर के लिए रुकता है तो फटाफट एपीआई कॉल करके डेटा लाओ और उसमें ये पूरा का पूरा डेटा सेंड कर दो। तो अगर यूजर ने बहुत फास्ट टाइप कर दिया हार्ड जेएस इंटरव्यू और यहाँ पे रुक गया, तो आपके पास इतनी क्वेरी है कि आपको इस चीज को सर्च करना है। फिर यूजर ने लेट्स से दोबारा टाइप करना स्टार्ट किया क्वेश्चंस, तो आपने आइडियली कितनी कॉल्स की, सिर्फ 2। सो हर वर्ड से करने से तो अच्छा है ना कि जब यूजर हल्का सा भी रुके, हल्का सा भी डिले आए उसके टाइपिंग में, तो आप तब एपीआई कॉल कर दो। इस कॉन्सेप्ट को कहा जाता है डीबाउंस। ओके, सो डीबाउंस क्या होता है, दिस इज द डीबाउंस। तो डीबाउंस को समझने के लिए ना मैं आपको एक कहानी सुनाता हूँ, ठीक है? सो ये कहानी मैं हर जगह शेयर करता हूँ, ये मैंने किसी आर्टिकल में पढ़ी थी। सो ये कहानी कुछ ऐसी है कि एक छोटी लड़की है, ओके, एंड उसको चॉकलेट्स बहुत पसंद है। सो वो अपनी मॉम के पास आती है एंड शी आस्क्स कि मॉम मेरे को चॉकलेट चाहिए, ओके। उसकी मम्मा कहते हैं कि ठीक है, यू हैव टू कीप साइलेंट फॉर 10 मिनट्स, आपको 10 मिनट तक चुप रहना है, मैं आपको चॉकलेट दे दूंगी। तो वो क्या होता है कि टाइम बीता है 1 मिनट 2 मिनट 3 मिनट, एंड अभी भी जो छोटी लड़की है वो कुछ नहीं बोल रही है। 6 मिनट्स के बाद वो फिर बोलती है कि मेरे को चॉकलेट चाहिए। तो कंडीशन क्या थी कि यार 10 मिनट तक चुपचाप बैठना है तो ही चॉकलेट मिलेगी। लेकिन 6 मिनट पे ये लड़की बोल पड़ी, तो दोबारा से क्या होगा, दोबारा उसका 10 मिनट स्टार्ट हो जाएगा, है ना? अब फिर से 10 मिनट रुको, ठीक है, 1 मिनट 2 मिनट 3 मिनट 4 मिनट 4th मिनट पे वो फिर बोलती है कि बहुत देर हो गई, प्लीज मेरे को चॉकलेट दे दो। तो सिम्मा कहेंगे नहीं, तेरे को कहा था 10 मिनट चुप बैठना है, ठीक है? तो फिर से 10 मिनट का टाइमर शुरू हो गया। तो अगर वो लगातार 10 मिनट तक कुछ नहीं बोलेगी तो ही उसको वो चॉकलेट मिलेगी। ये है डीबाउंस। तो अगर यूजर एक स्पेसिफाइड सेकंड्स के लिए कुछ भी टाइप नहीं करेगा तो ही एपीआई कॉल होगा। अगर उसने बीच में इंटरप्ट किया तो हम टाइमर को रीसेट कर देंगे। इस पर्टिकुलर लाइन को ना दोबारा सुनना, मैं दोबारा बता भी देता हूँ, बाकी आप दोबारा इसको सुनना कि अगर यूजर स्पेसिफाइड नंबर ऑफ सेकंड्स के लिए कुछ भी इंटरप्शन नहीं करता है टाइपिंग में तो ही हम एपीआई कॉल करेंगे, वरना टाइमर को रीसेट कर देंगे। यही तो है डीबाउंस, यही तो हमें करना है, ठीक है? तो मैं आपको एक डायग्राम दिखाता हूँ, ठीक है? अगर आपको ये डायग्राम समझ आ गई तो बस सब बढ़िया। सो डीबाउंस के लिए ना एक बहुत कॉमन डायग्राम यूज की जाती है। तो आप ये लगा लो कि लेट्स से ये हमारे पास एक लाइन है, ठीक है, एक लगा लो, क्या ये है, ये एक लाइन, ठीक है, लाइन ले लेते हैं। लेट्स से ये एक लाइन है, ये है हमारे सर्वर की लाइन, ठीक है, यहाँ से हमारे सर्वर शुरू होता है, ओके। और लेट्स से हम क्या करते हैं, हम एक और लाइन ले लेते हैं, ठीक है, एक और लाइन ले लिया और ये है हमारा क्लाइंट। अब टिपिकली होता क्या है, मतलब मैं आपको बताना क्या चाहता हूँ, पहले मैं आपको वो बता देता हूँ। तो यहाँ पे ना ऐसे एरो ले लेते हैं, या एरो नहीं, काम करते हैं पेन से ले लेते हैं। टेक्निकली देखो क्या होता है, क्लाइंट एपीआई कॉल करता है, ये देखो एपीआई कॉल गई और वापस क्या मिलता है, रिस्पांस, ठीक है। क्लाइंट ने फिर एक एपीआई कॉल की और ये हमें वापस क्या मिल गया, रिस्पांस, और इसको लेटेंसी कहते हैं। ये देखो ना, ये जो एरो का लेंथ है ना, इसको लेटेंसी कहते हैं। हो सकता है ना सर्वर बहुत दूर है, तो हो सकता है इस रिक्वेस्ट को जाने में 1 सेकंड लग गया और इस रिक्वेस्ट को आने में भी वो लग गया, तो ये हम लेटेंसी कहते हैं। तो इस तरह के डायग्राम को याद रखना। अब डीबाउंस को समझते हैं इस डायग्राम से। लेट्स से यूजर ने टाइप करा एच, ठीक है, हार्ड जेएस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस। तो देखो हम क्या करेंगे ना, हम ना एक एपीआई कॉल स्टार्ट कर देंगे, मतलब एक टाइमर हमने स्टार्ट कर दिया। हमने अभी तक एपीआई कॉल करा नहीं है, ये याद रखना, एपीआई कॉल जा रहा है जा रहा है जा रहा है, ठीक है। अब जैसे ही यूजर ने ए दबा दिया, यूजर ने क्या कर दिया, इंटरप्ट कर दिया, तो हमें क्या करना है, हमें इस कॉल को तो कैंसिल कर देना है। देखो ये हमने कैंसिल कर दिया और एक न्यू एपीआई कॉल करना हम स्टार्ट कर देंगे कि यार ठीक है, तेरा पिछला तो मैंने कैंसिल कर दिया, अब ये देखो न्यू एपीआई कॉल जा रही है, ठीक है, जा रही है जा रही है जा रही है जा रही है। उसने फिर कुछ इंटरप्ट कर दिया, आर कर दिया, तो इस वाली कॉल को भी कैंसिल कर दो और फिर एक न्यू स्टार्ट कर दो, ठीक है। अब लेट्स से यूजर ने कुछ भी इंटरप्ट नहीं करा, ठीक है, यूजर ने इंटरप्ट नहीं करा, यूजर वेट कर रहा है वेट कर रहा है वेट कर रहा है और फाइनली देखो ये कॉल पहुंच गई और इसका रिस्पांस हमारे पास आ गया। तो हमें HAR की सजेशंस मिलनी शुरू हो जाएंगी। लेट्स से अब यूजर ने लिखा डी, ठीक है भाई, अगला टाइम भी शुरू कर दो, देखो शुरू हो गया, टाइम हो गया शुरू शुरू शुरू, जा रहा है जा रहा है जा रहा है, यूजर ने यहाँ पे स्पेस डाल दिया, चलो कैंसिल करो। फिर दोबारा हमने एपीआई कॉल करना था, शुरू कर रहे थे, यहाँ पे यूजर ने लिख दिया जे, ठीक है, ये कॉल भी कैंसिल हो गई, फिर दोबारा शुरू हुई थी, फिर यूजर ने JS लिख दिया, ये कॉल भी कैंसिल हो गई, फिर दोबारा शुरू हुई। और अब अगर यूजर कुछ नहीं कर रहा है तो ये देखो कॉल जाएगी जाएगी जाएगी, हिट द सर्वर एंड गेट बैक द रिस्पांस। तो टेक्निकली आपने कितनी एपीआई कॉल्स की, एक और दो। तो दैट मीन्स एक टाइमर शुरू होता है, जैसे यूजर कुछ टाइप करता है टाइमर चल रहा है, ठीक है। अगर यूजर ने कुछ लिख दिया, अगर उसने कुछ भी लिख दिया, तो पुराने टाइमर को कैंसिल करो और एक नया टाइमर स्टार्ट कर दो। यही तो करना है हमें, दिस इज डी बाउंस, ठीक है। आया समझ, थोड़ा डी बाउंस समझ आया, चलो करें। ये हमारा पिछला कोड है, तो यहाँ पे हम एक बना लेते हैं dbounce.chase। तो हम क्या करेंगे ना, हम एक फैक्ट्री फंक्शन बनाएंगे, हम एक ऐसा फंक्शन बनाएंगे जो किसी भी चीज़ का डिबाउंस्ड वर्जन रिटर्न कर देता है। तो एक काम करते हैं, पहले एक सिंपल फंक्शन बनाते हैं, लेट्स से सर्च। तो यूजर क्या करेगा, सर्च करने के लिए हमें ना एक क्वेरी देगा कि वो क्या सर्च करना चाहता है, और हम ना सिंपल console डॉट लॉग कर देते हैं सर्चिंग फॉर, ठीक है, सर्चिंग फॉर क्वेरी, ठीक है। तो यहाँ से हमें पता लग जाएगा कि ठीक है हम क्या कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, सर्चिंग फॉर क्वेरी। तो अभी अगर मान लेते हैं हम सर्च करते हैं हार्ड जेएस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। तो मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ, मैं यहाँ पे मतलब मेरा आइडियली हमें यहाँ पे डॉम यूज़ करना चाहिए, ठीक है, बट ठीक है। तो अगर हम यहाँ पे ऐसे करते हैं, ठीक है, देखो HAR ऐसे कॉल जाएगी ना, ठीक है, मैंने देखो कितनी फास्ट फास्ट कॉल कर दी, ठीक है। अब अगर मैं इसको कॉल इस पर्टिकुलर फाइल को रन करता हूँ, यू कैन सी हमने कितनी कॉल्स की, 1 2 3 4 5, सो यू कैन सी हर लेटर के लिए हम बेसिकली कॉल कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, नॉट एन ऑप्टिमाइज वर्जन। तो मुझे इस सर्च का एक डिबाउंस्ड वर्जन चाहिए, तो मैं क्या करूँगा, चलो मैं एक फंक्शन बनाता हूँ डिबाउंस। क्या लिख रहा हूँ मैं, फंक्शन बना ले, क्या है भाई, मेरे को एक फंक्शन नहीं लिखना आ रहा, नहीं लिखना आ रहा है ना, हाँ, डिबाउंस। तो तुम मेरे को पहले तो फंक्शन दो किसको डिबाउंस करना है, और इसमें तुम मुझे डिले दो कितने सेकंड के बाद ये कॉल होना चाहिए। तो मेरा मेरा मतलब मोटिव क्या है कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, मैं यहाँ पर ना सर्च विद डिबाउंस ऐसे बना लूँ, सर्च विद डिबाउंस, ठीक है। तो मैं यहाँ पे बस डिबाउंस फंक्शन को कॉल कर दूंगा और इसके अंदर मैं अपना देखो पूरा का पूरा सर्च फंक्शन दे दूंगा, और लेट्स से मैंने यहाँ पे टाइम दे दिया 1000 मिली सेकंड्स, मतलब कि 1 सेकंड है ना, 1000 मिली सेकंड मतलब 1 सेकंड। अब होना क्या चाहिए बेसिकली, जब मैं इस फंक्शन को यूज करूंगा एज इट इज, तो यहाँ पर 1 सेकंड के अंदर कितनी कॉल होनी चाहिए, अगर यूजर 1 सेकंड के लिए रुकता है, अगर यूजर की टाइपिंग में 1 सेकंड का डिले आता है तो ही हम कॉल करेंगे, ठीक है। तो ये तो टेक्निकली डिबाउंस फंक्शन क्या ले रहा है, मेरा फर्स्ट पैरामीटर तो मेरा ही फंक्शन ले रहा है, सेकंड एक डिले ले रहा है, एंड इन रिटर्न एक ऐसा फंक्शन रिटर्न कर रहा है, एक ऐसा वर्जन रिटर्न कर रहा है मेरे फंक्शन का जिसमें डिबाउंसिंग इनेबल्ड है। तो ये हमें करना है ना, मजेदार, ठीक है, बहुत सिंपल है। देखो सबसे पहले क्या करो, एक टाइमर बना लो, एक टाइमर आईडी ले लो जो बाय डिफॉल्ट कुछ भी नहीं है, ठीक है, टाइमर आईडी। हम क्या करेंगे, हम यहाँ से रिटर्न करेंगे एक फंक्शन, एंड यूजर उसके अंदर कुछ भी आर्ग्यूमेंट्स पास कर सकता है, फाइन। अब हम देखो क्या करेंगे, जैसे ही ये फंक्शन कॉल हुआ, देखो अगर ये फंक्शन कॉल हुआ, क्या मैं कह सकता हूँ कि इस फंक्शन का टाइमर क्लियर करना चाहिए। टेक्निकली जब यूजर ने हार्ड लिखा तो इसको क्लियर आउट कर देना चाहिए ना, और जब हमने ये लिखा होगा तो ये इसको क्लियर, हर अगला लेटर पिछले वाले को क्लियर करता है। तो सबसे पहले तो एक काम कर दो, क्लियर टाइम आउट कर दो पिछला। तो इसका मतलब क्या है, दैट कैंसल द लास्ट कॉल, जो भी तुम्हारी पिछली कॉल थी उसको कैंसिल कर दो। बेसिकली यार ये वाली चीज जो हम ये नहीं कर रहे थे कि हर एक वर्ड पिछली कॉल को कैंसिल कर देता है पहले तो, ठीक है, हमने वो कर दिया। अब हम क्या करेंगे, हम एक नया टाइमर चालू करेंगे, ठीक है। टाइमर क्या चालू करते हैं, सेट टाइम आउट करके। इस सेट टाइम आउट के अंदर हम क्या करेंगे वो देख लेते हैं। पहले तो ये टाइम आउट कितनी देर के लिए चलेगा, जो भी यूजर ने हमें डिले दिया। इसके अंदर हम क्या करेंगे, हम यूजर के फंक्शन को कॉल कर देंगे, एंड उसके अंदर जो भी आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हैं हम वो भी पास कर देंगे, और ये अब हमारा न्यू टाइमर आईडी बन जाएगा, ठीक है। तो टाइमर आईडी ये बन गया। तो टेक्निकली देखो फर्स्ट टाइम क्या होगा, टाइमर आईडी होगा नहीं, क्लियर कुछ होगा नहीं, तो हमारे टाइम आउट चल गया लेट्स से 1 सेकंड के लिए। 1 सेकंड से पहले पहले आपने अगली कॉल कर दी, तो अगला कॉल क्या करेगा, पहले पिछले टाइम को क्लियर करेगा, एक नया टाइमर चालू कर देगा और टाइमर आईडी सेट हो जाएगी। अब जब ये आएगा तो वो इसको क्लियर कर देगा, जब ये आएगा तो वो इसको क्लियर कर देगा। तो 1 सेकंड के अंदर अंदर जितने भी कॉल्स आएंगे उसके लिए हम बस एक ही एपीआई कॉल करेंगे। तो रन करके देखें कोड को, क्या हुआ, कितनी एपीआई कॉल्स हुई, सर्चिंग फॉर हार्ड जेएस, देख रहे हो कितनी कॉल्स हुई, सिर्फ एक कॉल हुई, जेएस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस, बिकॉज 1 सेकंड का टाइम था तो कितनी कॉल्स हो पाई, सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमने एक कॉल की, करेक्ट। लेट्स से अगर मैं ये टाइम बहुत कम कर देता हूँ, ट्राई करते हैं 300 मिली सेकंड देने का, मतलब इट्स लाइक थर्ड ऑफ अ सेकंड, ठीक है, तो भी एक ही हो रही है बिकॉज हमने एक ही बार में लिख दिया। बट अगर यूजर होगा तो जब यूजर टाइप कर रहा होगा कॉल नहीं होगी, जब तक यूजर टाइप कर रहा है, जैसे ही वो छोड़ेगा कॉल हो जाएगी। सो दिस इज योर डिबाउंस। क्या मुश्किल था ये, क्या यार बच्चों वाले क्वेश्चन दे रहे हैं अब हमें, चलो ऐसे थ्रॉटल कर लेते हैं, ठीक है, थ्रॉटल डॉट जेएस। अभी थ्रॉटल क्या होता है, अगर आपको डिबाउंस समझ आ गया ना तो थ्रॉटल समझने में ना ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा। चलो एक काम करते हैं, थ्रॉटल को समझते हैं, ठीक है, थ्रॉटल क्या होता है। सो थ्रॉटल के लिए भी मेरे पास एक कहानी है, चलो थ्रॉटल की कहानी सुनाता हूँ। तो लेट्स से वही हमारे पास छोटी लड़की है, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास छोटी लड़की है एंड वही हमारे पास उसकी मम्मी है। उसकी मम्मी ने, ठीक है, एक बनाई लेते हैं ना, ये लो, ये वो छोटी लड़की है एंड ये उसकी मॉम है, ठीक है। इसने बोला कि मम्मी मेरे को भूख लगी है, तो इसकी मॉम ने बोला कि यार तेरे को खाना ना 3 बजे मिलेगा, ठीक है, इसने क्या बोला कि यार तुम्हें, या फिर ऐसे ले लेते हैं कि यार मैं ना तुम्हें खाना जो है आई गिव यू खाना 10 मिनट में, ठीक है, 10 मिनट लगेंगे खाना बनने में, तो 10 मिनट में तुम्हें खाना मिल जाएगा। अब यार एक बात बताओ, ये तो छोटी लड़की है ना, ये तो जिद्दी है, ठीक है, तो इसने क्या किया, इसने मॉम को बोला कि भूख लगी है, ठीक है, खाना कितनी देर में बन रहा है, 10 मिनट बनेगा, तो इसने 1 मिनट बाद ही बोला भूख लगी है, क्या हमें कुछ करना है, इग्नोर मारो ना, 10 मिनट में जब खाना बन जाएगा तभी देंगे। इसने 3 मिनट बाद फिर बोला, तो हम क्या करेंगे, इग्नोर मारो, ठीक है, कुछ नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है। उसने 6 मिनट बाद फिर बोला कि मेरे को तो भूख लगी है, कुछ नहीं करेंगे। फिर 8th मिनट पे फिर वापस बोला भूख लगी है, इग्नोर करो, खाना बन रहा है ना यार, खाना बनते ही बनेगा ना, 10 मिनट लगेंगे ना। जैसे ही 10th मिनट पे, है ना, जैसे 10th मिनट होगा, जब ये फिर मांगेगी या नहीं भी मांगेगी, तो हम इसको खाना दे देंगे। सो दैट मीन्स अगर हमने एक टाइम विंडो लगा रखी है 10 मिनट्स की, इस 10 मिनट के अंदर अंदर आप जितनी मर्जी बार खाना मांगो, आपकी कॉल्स को इग्नोर कर दिया जाएगा। करेक्ट, तो मतलब कि 10th मिनट पे आपकी जो जो आपने पहली रिक्वेस्ट की थी, आपने देखो यहाँ पे खाना मांगा होगा, आपको 10 मिनट का एक इंटरवल मिल गया, अब इसके अंदर आप जितनी मर्जी बार मांगो आपको नहीं मिलेगा, आपको 10th मिनट पे आपकी जो रिक्वेस्ट है वो रिजॉल्व हो जाएगी, ठीक है। अब इसका प्रैक्टिकल यूज केस क्या है ना, इसका प्रैक्टिकल यूज केस क्या है, क्या आपने कभी सोचने दो, थ्रॉटलिंग का एक प्रैक्टिकल यूज करता हूँ, क्या आपने कभी कुछ ऐसा देखा है कि लेट्स से एक लाइक का बटन है, ठीक है, एक लाइक का बटन है, आप इस लाइक के बटन को जब दबाते हो, ठीक है, आप इस लाइक के बटन को जब दबाते हो, तो ये लाइक का बटन थोड़ी देर के लिए डिसेबल हो जाता है। या फिर यूट्यूब के ऊपर जब आप लाइव के ऊपर कमेंट्स डालते हो, ठीक है, अगर वहाँ पर स्लो मोड इनेबल्ड होता है ना, एक होता है ना स्लो मोड इनेबल्ड, अगर वहाँ पर स्लो मोड इनेबल्ड होता है, तो जैसे ही आप एक कॉल करते हो, आप एक कमेंट डालते हो, तो आपका जो चैट बॉक्स है ना, वो डिसेबल हो जाता है 60 सेकंड्स के लिए, अगर मान लो स्लो मोड 60 सेकंड्स है, और 60 सेकंड्स के बाद ही आप दोबारा एक मैसेज सेंड कर सकते हो। तो दैट मीन्स एक इस मिनट के अंदर आप जितने मर्जी मैसेज को लिखो या करो, तो सर्वर आपके मैसेज को इग्नोर करेगा, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आपका थ्रॉटलिंग काम आता है, ठीक है। सो डिबाउंस में हम क्या करते थे, जब भी लास्ट कॉल होती थी हम फिर दोबारा टाइमर को रीसेट करते थे, इसमें रीसेट नहीं करते, इसमें जो हमने बोला 10 मिनट बाद, तो बस 10 मिनट बाद दे दो, दैट इज योर थ्रॉटलिंग, ठीक है। सो थ्रॉटलिंग में इंप्लीमेंट कर लेते हैं, ठीक है। सो थ्रॉटलिंग के केस में बेसिकली स्लो मोड जो चैट है वो ज़्यादा अच्छा है। तो लेट्स से मैंने यहाँ पर एक फंक्शन बनाया सेंड चैट मैसेज, ठीक है, ये यूट्यूब लाइव का लेटेस्ट चैट मैसेज वाला है। तो आपने मैसेज दिया, तो हम यहाँ पे कर देंगे console.log सेंडिंग मैसेज, और आपने मेरे को एक मैसेज दे दिया, ठीक है। अब देखो होगा क्या, अगर मैं यहाँ पे सेंड चैट मैसेज करता हूँ हाय, ठीक है, कुछ होता है ना यूजर जो स्पैम करते हैं, हेलो हेलो जी, ठीक है, एक सिंपल सर जी नेक्स्ट कोहोर्ट कब होगा, ठीक है, कुछ डिस्काउंट मिलेगा सर जी कोहोर्ट, या फिर सर जी डिस्काउंट ऑन कोर्स, ठीक है। तो ऐसे लेट्स से हमारे पास चैट मैसेज आ रहे हैं। अभी क्या होगा अगर हम इसको रन करते हैं, इस थ्रॉटलिंग वाले को रन करते हैं, यू कैन सी सारे मैसेजेस चले गए, ये तो स्पैमिंग हो गई ना। अब हमें क्या करना है ना, हमें ना स्लो मोड इनेबल करवाना है। मैं चाहता हूँ कि 1 सेकंड के या फिर 2 सेकंड में एक ही मैसेज आ पाए, ठीक है, मतलब 2 सेकंड के बाद ही तुम अगला मैसेज कर सकते हो, ठीक है, या फिर आप 1 मिनट भी ले सकते हो। तो ठीक है, एक काम करते हैं, थ्रॉटल बना लो, थ्रॉटल थ्रॉटल, हाँ, फंक्शन दो, डिले दो, सेम। डिप्ले क्या होता है, डिले दो भाई मेरे को। तो हम क्या करेंगे, हम यहाँ पर बेसिकली फंक्शन कैसे काम करना चाहिए, सेंड चैट मैसेज विद स्लो मोड, है ना। तो बेसिकली ये थ्रॉटल्ड वर्जन होगा इस पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन का, और मैंने 1 सेकंड का टाइम, या फिर हमने क्या किया 1000 को 2 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दो, तो ये 2 सेकंड बन जाएगा, ठीक है। तो 2 सेकंड के टाइम पे तो आप 2 सेकंड में एक ही मैसेज सेंड कर सकते हो। आई बात समझ, चलो अब हम क्या करेंगे, बताओ, आप बताओ हमें यहाँ पर करना क्या है। थोड़ा सा थिंकिंग अप्रोच सोचो कि जब यूजर की रिक्वेस्ट आई, ठीक है, उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर देना है क्या साथ के साथ, बताओ, ठीक है। अगर लेट्स से ठीक है, पहली कॉल को हमने एग्जीक्यूट कर दिया और हमने ये कॉल एग्जीक्यूट किया 0 सेकंड पे, ठीक है। अब टाइम हमने कितना दे रखा है, 10 मिनट का। तो अगर आप 3 मिनट के बाद कॉल कर रहे हो, फर्स्ट कॉल 0 सेकंड पे थी, 3 मिनट, तो कितना टाइम बीता, 3 मिनट ही बीते। तो क्या मेरे को कॉल करनी चाहिए, नहीं, बिकॉज 10 मिनट का टाइम है, तो मेरे को कॉल नहीं करनी चाहिए। आपने फिर एक कॉल की 8 मिनट पे, लास्ट कॉल कब गई थी, 0 मिनट पे, क्या मेरे को 8 मिनट ही बीते, क्या मेरे को कॉल करना चाहिए, नहीं। अब यहाँ पर कॉल चली जाएगी, है ना, 10 मतलब 10 और 10, यहाँ पे 10 मिनट हो चुके हैं, तो कॉल कर दो। अब लेट्स से यूजर ने 13th या फिर 14th मिनट पे दोबारा से कॉल की, तो लास्ट कॉल 10th मिनट पे हुई थी और अब 14 हो रहे हैं, 4 मिनट ही तो बीते हैं, तो नहीं कॉल करने दो। अगर वो 22th मिनट पे कॉल करता है, तो यार लास्ट कॉल 10th पे हुई थी, अब 22 हो गए, अरे हाँ ये तो 12 हो गए, राइट, 12 मिनट हो गए, तो कॉल करने दो। तो मतलब कि लास्ट कॉल कब की और अभी उसके बीच में कितना टाइम है, अगर वो हमारे डिले से ज्यादा हो चुका है, तो कॉल को जाने दो। तो मतलब कि लेट्स से मैंने बोला लेट लास्ट कॉल जब भी हुई 0, ठीक है। हम क्या करेंगे, एक नया फंक्शन रिटर्न करेंगे जिसके अंदर हमारे पास आर्ग्स हैं, ठीक है। अगर पहले तो ले लो नाउ, अभी क्या टाइम हो रहा है, ठीक है, अभी क्या टाइम हो रहा है, डेट डॉट नाउ, ठीक है। इसको करने के मल्टीपल तरीके होते हैं वैसे, तो अभी ये टाइम हो रहा है। अगर इफ नाउ माइनस, ठीक है, लास्ट कॉल जब भी हुई थी, अगर वो हमारे लेस देन डिले है, ठीक है भाई, अभी तो नहीं कर सकते ना, इस मैसेज को इग्नोर करना है कि भाई तुम ना बहुत जल्दी वापस आ गए, तुम्हें इग्नोर करना है, तुम बस कुछ नहीं कर रहे, तुम रौला डाल रहे हो, ठीक है, ठीक है, तुम बार बार मांग रहे हो, तो तुम्हारी कॉल को डिले करो। अगर ऐसा नहीं है तो एक काम करो, लास्ट कॉल को बेसिकली अब कर दो, लास्ट कॉल को नाउ से रिप्लेस कर दो, और रिटर्न कर दो फंक्शन को, जो भी यूजर का फंक्शन है उसको कॉल कर दो यूजिंग दिस आर्क्स, ठीक है, डन। ट्राई करें अब, चलो। ओ इस फंक्शन को कॉल करना था, माय बैड, ठीक है। सेंड मैसेज विद स्लो मोड, कितने मैसेज है, एक ही मैसेज किया तुम्हारा, क्यों, 2 सेकंड का डिले लगा हुआ है, तुम अगला मैसेज 2 सेकंड के बाद ही सेंड कर सकते हो, तुम अगला मैसेज 2 सेकंड के बाद ही सेंड कर सकते हो, ठीक है। तो अगर मान लो आप इसको रियलिटी में यूज करोगे, तो होगा क्या, हर 2 सेकंड के बाद आप जो भी मैसेज सेंड करोगे वो आपका सेंड होता रहेगा, नहीं तो बाकी के मैसेजेस इग्नोर होते रहेंगे। तो ये है आपका थ्रॉटलिंग, ठीक है। तो थ्रॉटलिंग और डिबाउंसिंग ये हार्ड नहीं है, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, बहुत कॉमनली और बहुत ईजी कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, अगर आपको वो स्टोरी और अगर आपको ये डायग्राम समझ आ जाए तो, ठीक है। सो आई अंडरस्टैंड पहली बार में ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझ नहीं आते, आपको थोड़ा सा वीडियो को रीवॉच करना पड़ता है, इधर उधर के मतलब आपको प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा, आपको इसको रियलिटी में इंप्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा, थोड़े से आर्टिकल्स वगैरह पढ़ना, तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा डीबाउंस क्या होता है, थ्रॉटलिंग क्या होता है। एंड इसी के साथ आपने एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट सीखा, डीबाउंसिंग एंड थ्रॉटलिंग। सो दिस वाज आवर क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 इन द जावास्क्रिप्ट हार्ड इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस। मिलते हैं हम आपको नेक्स्ट वीडियो के अंदर, और वीडियो कैसा लगा मुझे कमेंट्स में जरूर बताना, वीडियो अच्छा लगा तो लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब जरूर करना। मिलते हैं हम आपको नेक्स्ट वीडियो के अंदर, अंटिल देन बाय बाय एंड टेक केयर।
Bro, no, normal. तो भाई 12 बजे, 12 बजे बंद करने का सोच रहा था मैं पहले ही। इतना देर से ना ये पूरा रिविजन कर लिया, ये फिर क्या थियरम आने वाला था, देखा तुम आगे फिर अच्छी बात कर रहा हूँ। क्या हाल चाल, कैसे जा रहे तुम्हारे ग्रेड, कैसे जा रही है भाई? नहीं नहीं भाई, ग्रास है, क्या ग्रास? मार्स भाई। तो जब स्ट्रीम एंड कर रहा हूँ तब शेर होगा आ रहा है, क्या करें भाई? लाइक कर दो यार, लाइक कर दो, 3 लाइक कर दो। पता नहीं यार, नींद आ रहा है मेरे को। मैं थोड़ा देर वो देखूंगा, तुमसे बात कर रहा हूँ भाई। बस मतलब तुम ही तो बात कर रहे हो, मतलब चैट में और कोई तो है ही नहीं। हाँ भाई, तेरे से ही बात कर रहा हूँ। इतना फिर से कॉल से बात करेगा। ग्राइंड कर रहा है क्या मतलब? मैं तो जाऊंगा थोड़ा देर, आफ्टर इफेक्ट देखूंगा, फिर सो जाऊंगा। डोनेशन नंबर भेज। डोनेशन नंबर। डोनेशन नंबर ये पूछ रहा है क्या? मैंने आफ्टर इफेक्ट डाउनलोड किया है, उसको मैं ट्राई करूंगा आज। अभी क्या टाइम हो रहा है अभी? देखूंगा भाई, थोड़ा देर देखूंगा, फिर सो जाऊंगा शायद। 12:10 हो रहा है ना? ये वाला एनिमेशन मस्त है, स्टार्टिंग में वाला। देख रहा, मस्त है ना? एंड एंडिंग वाला भी अच्छा है। नहीं, एंडिंग नहीं, बी राइट बैक वाला सही है। डैम भाई, यही ये वाला मेरे को बहुत पसंद है भाई, ये कैरेक्टर। पता नहीं क्यों भाई। यार 2 लाइक और करो यार। रुक जा, मैं दिखाता हूँ। आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स डाउनलोड किया है, चलता है कि नहीं देखते हैं, एक बार चालू कर देखते हैं। मेरे सिस्टम में चलेगा क्या वो? मेरे को फाइल रिप्लेस करना था, मैंने फाइल रिप्लेस किया ही नहीं शायद। इसका मैं स्ट्रीम में नहीं बता सकता, बट लिंक दे सकता हूँ, रुक जा। 2 सेकंड रुक जा। मैं थोड़ा सा स्क्रीन हाइड कर रहा हूँ, हाँ। सेकंड रुक, मैं सर्च करके मैं लिंक यहाँ पर डाल देता हूँ, तो यहाँ से कॉपी कर लेना। एडोब का स्पेलिंग क्या है भाई? एडोब, आफ्टर इफेक्ट। गूगल, गूगल को क्या बोलते हैं उसको? गूगल डॉक्स में डालता हूँ, ठीक है, ले लेना। ठीक है, नहीं ये बता। बकचोदी है, पेस्ट भी नहीं कर सकते क्या इसमें? मैं टाइप थोड़ी करूँगा। मैंने एक लिंक शेयर कर रहा हूँ, वहाँ पे से तू ले लेना, ठीक है? मैं स्क्रीन में नहीं दिखाऊंगा मगर। शेयर विद एनीवन है शायद, हाँ शेयर विद एनीवन है। मैं तेरे को लिंक दे देता हूँ। वहाँ पे ड्राइव, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ड्राइव नहीं, गूगल डॉक्स में तेरे को लिंक मिल जाएगा, वहाँ से डाउनलोड कर लिया। अच्छा अच्छा। ले लो भाई ये, कोई बात ना, लिंक्स पता नहीं पूछ रहा था। ओ ठीक है ठीक है, अगर तेरे को चाहिए तो यहाँ से डाउनलोड कर लेना, ठीक है, मैं स्क्रीन नहीं दिखा सकता। व्यू ट्रैकर, ये सेफ है शायद, पता नहीं है कुछ भी। अगर कुछ फ्री में माल चाहिए तो मतलब कुछ तो मतलब सैक्रिफाइस करना पड़ता है। सर चालू किया था, चालू नहीं हो गया ये। थोड़ा इसको बंद कर, पीछे चालू हुआ है। क्या हो रहा है इस पे, इधर दिख क्यों नहीं रहा ये। आते ही स्पैम, सीधा सोर्स से डाउनलोड करता हूँ, 8 into वाला रूपा। हाँ वही वही है, तो इसका क्या हो गया। नॉट क्या, Damn, मेरे को पता था कि कैसे फिक्स करूँ मैं। अरे यार, मेरे को स्ट्रीम अभी प्राइवेट करना पड़ेगा। अरे फिर कहाँ गया भाई। तो भाई ये तो ऐसा है, इसको कहाँ पे, यहाँ पड़ा है। Yeah, let's go man, do it. तो हो गया नहीं हो, कौन सा वेबसाइट है, क्या यार है ये, फॉन्ट सर्वर, क्या फॉन्ट यार, मतलब वो साइट से काम नहीं कर देगा ये। इनिशियलाइजिंग आ गया। काम नहीं कर रहा, वहाँ पे, वहाँ पे डाल दे, उसमें डाल, क्या बोलते हैं, गूगल डॉक्स में डाल, मैं जाके देखता हूँ, देख के सो जाऊंगा जाके, वरना फिर डाउनलोड करूंगा दूसरा से। हाँ, डाल भाई गूगल डॉक्स में डाल, उस सब पर ये डॉक्यूमेंट क्यों खुल रहा है? करूँगा फिर मेन में रुकूंगा फिर देख क्या, यहाँ पर डालना भाई, क्या हो गया, यहाँ पर डाल, बुक डिगर, कैसे है, आप मेरे स्ट्रीम में आते थे क्या भाई, पहली बार देख रहा है। फिर दिखाना क्या है वेबसाइट, यहाँ पे डालना, इस पर डालना, अरे इसमें डालना है, इसमें वही तो बोल रहा हूँ, इसमें डाल। ये डाल भाई। 20 हो गया। डाउनलोड करने में कम से कम 20 मिनट लगेंगे फिर से मेरे को। जल्दी रहा, मैं मेरे को जाना है जल्दी रहा। स्क्रीन हाइड था वो। सही है, हाइड ही रहने देते हैं। अच्छा मेरे को लगा मैंने स्क्रीन पे दिखा दिया भाई। बच गया, बच गया, कॉपीराइट से बच गया। अरे जल्दी डाल यार। जाता हूँ फिर। मिलते हैं। ठीक है डाल, मैं इधर ही। जल्दी डाल, थोड़ा जल्दी डाल। अरे पेस्ट करनी है, बस पेस्ट करना भाई। ये क्या है भाई? बढ़िया है यार। जो तेरा दिखा के जाके सोता हूँ। देख ले गाइस, अपने भाई ने मतलब वेबसाइट बनाया है, सपोर्ट करो जाके। तो ये साइट बनाया भाई ने। क्राफ्ट योर साउंड, नेवर गेस साउंड सिलेक्शन अगेन, वी डिड क्यूरेट इट एंड क्लियर इट। क्या साउंड बनाते हो क्या? ये ये मतलब क्या बोलते हो, कॉपीराइट आएगा क्या प्ले करने से? फिर नहीं बजाना भाई। तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे भाई सब 8,000 कहाँ से निकाले थे? अरे वन क्लिक में कैसे इतना पेजेस, मतलब तुरंत इतना फास्ट कैसे हो गई? डैम भाई, तुम तो यार, तुमने खुद को बनाया है क्या सब? ऑडियो भी तूने खुद से बनाया है क्या? क्रेजी ब्रो। अच्छा रिफ्रेश करवाया मैंने मुझसे। ये मूव कर रहा है क्या? अरे गिटार, मैं गिटार थोड़ा सा ऊपर में देख लग रहा है। इसको थोड़ा नीचे कर, अच्छा दिखेगा। मस्त बना है। ठीक है। नाइस भाई। प्लानिंग तो मस्त है। सारे क्लिकेबल है। अलग अलग, अलग अलग कैटेगरी है कुछ। अपलोड ट्रैक, अपलोड ट्रैक स्टूडियो ग्रेड, ये सेपरेट से क्लीन। म्यूजिक सेपरेशन के लिए। नाइस यार, एवरीवन एल्स डैश। नाइस ब्रो। ये $2 क्यों रखा है भाई? ज्यादा लगा भाई, इतना कम क्यों रखा है? रेट बढ़ा भाई, इतना कम मत दो। इतना कुछ दे रहा मतलब इतना कम रेट में कभी मत देना किसी को। ये ठीक लग रहा है। ठीक है। वैसे ये म्यूजिक सेपरेट करने के लिए होता है। बढ़िया है यार। आइडिया कहाँ से आया तेरे को? ये क्या था? फ्री की जगह $1। मैं कुछ प्ले नहीं करूँगा भाई, मेरे को करना नहीं है। मेरे को कॉपीराइट आएगा, इसलिए मैं नहीं कर रहा। LDG लिस्ट ऑफ फ्री। तो हेवी ड्राइवर होगा भाई। अबे तू नहीं देगा, क्रिएटर देगा मेरे को कॉपीराइट। पता नहीं है ना, साउंड कुछ भी मैच हो गया किसी और ऑडियो में, बेंचो मेरा ऑडियो उठा के डाल दिया तूने, कॉपीराइट मारूंगा मैं ऐसा बोल। तू नहीं मारेगा भाई, वो मारेगा जो जिसका मतलब मैच हो गया ऑडियो। ऐसे ही चलता है यूट्यूब में आजकल। वही प्ले नहीं करूँ, बस देख रहा हूँ लोग। इतने सारे ऑडियो डाल रखे तूने। मैं ऑफलाइन में चेक करूंगा इसके बाद, प्ले करके देखूंगा अगर अच्छा है कुछ। मतलब इतना फ्री में क्यों दे रखा है तूने? सब लोग आएंगे फ्री में डाउनलोड करके लेके चला जाएगा भाई। कोई एक्सटेंशन रुक जा, मैं तेरे को दिखाता हूँ, ऑनलाइन दिखाता हूँ एक्सटेंशन है। ट्राई करके देखते हैं। अगर तू उसमें बाइट बाइट में भेज रहा है देना, आई थिंक नहीं होगा, वरना फिर तो मतलब फिर तो सही है। अगर ऐसे आ रहा है नेटवर्क में तो फिर सही है। एक बंदा ट्राई मार ले बोल रहा है, एक बंदा मार बोल रहा है, क्या करूँ यार। तुम दोनों अलग अलग बंदे हो क्या? या फिर तू दोनों आईडी से खुद ही बात कर रहा है? वीडियो क्यों नहीं आ रही है? वीडियो नॉट। रिक्वेस्ट आ रहा है। ये यूज हुआ कहाँ पे 3Gs? ये ऑथ कॉन्फ़िग क्यों दिख रहा भाई? थोड़ा चेक करना भाई, पता नहीं मैं नहीं दिखा रहा है। वी विल 2 लोग हो गए। यार मेरा confuse हो रहा है। ठीक, मैं जाता हूँ हाँ। अच्छा प्रोडक्ट है। कीप डूइंग ब्रदर।